Okay, the recording has been started. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you to today's webinar conducted by onlinetaxupdate.com. So this topic is very interesting. Okay, 360 degree view on GSTR 9 and 9C. Topic proposed by Arup Dasgupta sir. And because this the GSTR 9 and 9C due date is fast approaching, and it is the best time to kickstart the audit this return preparation. And with this beautiful session, where sir will talk about the core issues and practical issues. In fact, when we are preparing the return, so the issues that we are thinking of, how to show it in the return, what treatment should be given, that things will be discussed in the webinar, and it will be a kind of a panel discussion. And we have with us two speakers. One is Suruchi Agrawal. She is a CA, qualified chartered accountant, and another one is Anshuma Rustagi. She is also chartered accountant. And as a moderator, we have Advocate CA Arup Dasgupta sir. Very happy to welcome three of you in the session. And to give a brief introduction about Anshuma ji. Anshuma ji is all India rank holder chartered accountant with over 15 years of distinguished practice in indirect taxes with a deep specialization in goods and service tax. A partner at GARV and associate since 2004. She has been at the forefront of India's GST regime since its inception, assisting numerous corporate and SMEs in GST implementation, transitional impact study, compliance management, refund processes, litigation support, and departmental audit. Her advisory work span a wide range of sectors, including manufacturing, trading, telecom, transport, warehousing, textile, aluminum, and chemicals. She has been instrumental in securing complex export refunds, designing credit note mechanism for large telecom distributor, and preparing litigation strategies on inverted duty structure, currently under the consideration of the Honorable Supreme Court. She is also a passionate contributor to professional knowledge. She is an empaneled GST faculty with the ICAI, a member of ICAI Indirect Tax Committee Kolkata Study Group, and a co-author of the book Value Added Tax in West Bengal, Reddy Reckner. She is a regular speaker at ICA program and various industry forums and contributes article and research to reputed professional publication. Her academic excellence includes securing 13th All India rank in CA final and 12th in CA intermediate, along with university and school level distinction. She brings to every session a rare combination of technical depth, real world experience, and a clarity of thought, making her an impactful and an engaging speaker in the field of taxation and policy. Anshuma ji, we welcome you to this session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
and a brief introduction about Suruchi Agarwal. She is also a qualified chartered accountant, and she qualified in the year 2015. She has been practicing within the realm of indirect taxation for over 9 years, holding a diverse range of qualification. Her educational prowess is complemented by accomplishments in the field, including All India Rank 8 in CS Foundation examination. Career highlights: she has been successful representing client and securing favorable outcome in matters related to GST, erstwhile VAT and service tax law. Through comprehensive understanding of tax law, strategy, legal analysis, and effective advocacy, she has navigated complex tax issues to deliver positive results for her clients. Her achievements include not only providing robust legal defense, but also identifying opportunity for tax optimization to clients' advantage and ensuring compliance while minimizing liabilities. She has also served as a permanent faculty for GST at the East India Regional Council of ICI for Institute of Cost Accountant of India. Further, as a GST blogger and a public speaker, her insights have been published in a national forum like Tax Sutra and Tax Guru. Work-wise, since 2017, she has been serving as a partner in Vimal and Saria, chartered accountant in Kolkata, practicing as a tax practitioner. In this role, she has been instrumental in rendering comprehensive professional service covering compliance, advisory, GST audit, dispute resolution. Her clientele include reputed listed and unlisted companies, firms, individual and non-profit entities across diverse sectors, including such as manufacturing, trading, hospitality, healthcare, education, and information technology. Before her role at Vimal and Siksaria, and Ms. Agarwal served as an officer, TRS, at Desai Haribhakti and Company, chartered accountant, focusing on corporate tax planning, review for tax optimization, analysis of GST model law, and Pan India VAT audit. Welcome, Suruchi Agarwal ji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and none other than our advocate Arup Dasgupta ji. His brief introduction is, even though you all know, it is my duty to introduce him. He is a FCA, LLB, ACS, and CISA, ICA, CA, US, and with more than a 2 decade of experience and based out of City of Joy, Kolkata. He has handled on experience and he has hands-on experience in providing opinion and advisory services on indirect tax and compliance company law matter to some of leading corporate and MNCs with presence across India, and also from core sector, carrying out strategic review of business processes to evaluate the tax implication, undertaking litigation service and appear before government authority, tribunals and high courts. After almost 2 decades of practice as a CA in 2023, he has started his legal practice as an advocate in the city of Kolkata and is appearing on matter of indirect taxation and cyber law before different authorities and also the tribunal and high court. He has published articles in journal of various reputed professional organizations and leading online website and has an article with a view of more than 2 million. Congratulations, sir. He has trained student, professional senior government officer, professional bodies and trade bodies on SGST, GST and other IDT related topic across multiple states in India. He is passionate about providing solution to issues faced by trade bodies and has been a partner in it since inception of GST, because of which he had the opportunity to represent before Honorable FM Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, Revenue Secretary, CBIC Chairman and member, CEO GSTN, and other key stakeholders the issue faced by the trade. We welcome you, Arup Dasgupta, sir, as a
Thank you.
moderator.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So without taking much time, I would hand over the session to Arup Dasgupta, sir. As a moderator, sir, please take over the session.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
all this to you, sir.
So thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to yet another wonderful session, which is, I think, curated by Online Tax Update. And the best part about Online Tax Update is that they are welcome to feedbacks and suggestions from professionals as to what would be beneficial for the professionals. Okay, so that is one good thing that I like about sir, as we fondly say GK, sir. So that's a wonderful thing. So now coming to today's discussion, before I start today's discussion, I would humbly like to recognize the presence of senior government officers. Sir, we are really humbled, sirs and madam, that you have been kind enough to be present in this wonderful session. It will really encourage all of us. So thanks to the senior government officers and also many senior professionals from across India. I can see them. And this also encourages us that, we are coming up with a wonderful thing, which I'm sure everybody would be happy to listen. So thanks to each one. I'm seeing professionals from Rajasthan, Gujarat, Kerala, then even from Bangalore, so all the states of India. So it's really wonderful. So with this brief background, I'll just start with the quick deliberations. As we all know, like GSTR 9 and 9C is the last resort which we have as professionals who are handling GST compliance or litigations to end the litigation. And when I say litigation, I mean that this GSTR 9 and 9C will reduce the birth of a notice at a later stage of life if we can properly file the GSTR 9 and 9C. Though what I've just said, that is 80% theoretically correct and 20% wrong. Why? Because much whatever you do, there will be discrepancies, there will be differences, as I'm discussing in different forums. So there will be differences. But the purpose of our today's discussion is, what is the modality that we should follow, or the protocols that we need to follow as per the view of our two learned panelists, who are some of the thought leaders from the East. Both of them are wonderful thought leaders on GST from the East. So we're really fortunate to have both of them. So we'll know as to what are the protocols that we may follow while filing the GSTR 9 and 9C. So now coming quickly to first GSTR 9. So till last year, the wordings of the notification, if you see, it was saying that on the recommendations of the council, hereby exempts the registered person whose aggregate turnover in the financial year 23-24 is up to 2 crores from filing annual return from the said financial year. So till last year, 23-24, the exemption was coming on a year-on-year basis. But if you see the notification for this year, which is notification 15/2025 issued on 17th of September 2025, it says, on the recommendations of the council, in respect of filing of the annual return of the financial year 24-25 onwards. So the word used is for the financial year 24-25 onwards hereby exempts the registered person whose aggregate turnover in any financial year is up to 2 crore rupees from filing annual return that said financial year. So one key change this year is that now the notification that has been issued, this will be equally applicable for all the years. Secondly, we need to remember that now GSTR 9 and 9C has a life of only 3 years. So either you file it within the 3 years due date, or you cannot file it in the entire life cycle. Okay, so that limitation has been set out. There is a long purpose and reason. We will not delve into that today because our purpose is to get into the purpose queries of GSTR 9 and 9C. The third thing that needs to be clarified is that the meter for the late fee for GSTR 9 will not stop till you file your 9C. Okay, so even though you filed your GSTR 9, if you have not filed GSTR 9C, it will not be considered to be a complete return, and your meter for the late fees will be continuously running. So with this brief background about the applicability of the late fees, we will now quickly delve into the changes in the form. Okay, I would also like to recognize that we really appreciate all the participants who have shared their questions with us in beforehand, also suggestions as to what they would like to know from the session. So one of the requests was to share about the changes in the form. So I would like to go to Anshuma ji first for some of the changes that have been suggested in the form.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Arupda. Thank you, Online Tax Update. We've studied so much of 99C over the last 7 years when we've been filing it. And this year's 99C has heralded a lot of changes. So it is an absolute honor to be able to discuss our thoughts and viewpoints across our country on this topic. Before we dive straight into the topic, I have been having this viewpoint since the very inception of GST and when the first annual return form came. And we were discussing amongst professionals as to how this particular, let's say an invoice is dated 23-24 and shown in the 2A of 24-25, and how do we disclose it? There have always been different viewpoints, and both viewpoints have been correct. So, like Arupda said, GSTR 9-9C filling up correctly can help us, deal with litigations in a better manner. But there will always be some mismatches, which we will highlight today, Suruchi, myself, Arupda. And unfortunately, filling up the 9-9C is not a science only. It is also an art. So there will be different viewpoints on the same invoice and how it is going to be disclosed in the GSTR 9 or 9C, for example. So keeping that in mind, let us go directly ahead. Suruchi, would you like to share your screen with the changes once? And we will go through very quickly with all the changes which have been introduced in GSTR 9 so that we can have more time for the individual question answers, and also we could highlight how we could take up a lot of case studies for everyone. We are moving with the premise that we are familiar with the structure of GSTR 9-9C with all of us. And yes, let's make it an interactive session. I'm speaking on behalf of everyone. Feel free to put in your questions during the session in the chat box so that we can answer as many questions as possible. We would love to have this as a very interactive session. The very first change, I would take up the changes which have come in the outward supply, and then Arupda will pass it on to Suruchi to take up the changes which has come in the inward supply.
Yes.
Under the outward supply, the very first change which has come in Suruchi has kindly highlighted them, is the table G1, where the supplies on e-commerce operator. So there are certain supplies on which the e-commerce operator pays the taxes on behalf of the supplier. And there are certain supplies on which the taxes are paid by the e-commerce operator, but they are on supplies of someone else. So this disclosure was earlier not available in the GST annual returns. So the annual returns have basically now included separate rows to show the supplies on which e-commerce operator is required to pay tax on behalf of the supplier. We'll quickly go down to the next change, which is the C1, where the supplier reports that the e-commerce operator is paying the tax on my behalf, and therefore though it is a part of my outward supply, I have not paid the taxes on the same. So that is the table 4 and the table 5, in which under the outward supply we have changes. So Suruchi, outward supply mein, I don't think there is any other change.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So let's go to the table 6, 7, 8, which is related to the inward supply, and I would hand it over to Suruchi to continue, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to be addressing you all today. So as Anshuma has already introduced you all with the changes for outward supply, which briefly can be stated is only on account of supplies through e-commerce, where on one part e-commerce operator is disclosing and on the other part the supplier is disclosing the supplies made through e-commerce operator. Now, when we come to input tax credit, the changes that have been brought in are the most talked about and most confusing of all, which requires the art in filling it up. So when we go to 6A1, which is the first amendment that has been made effective from this financial year, it talks about ITC of preceding financial year availed in the financial year, which is 24-25. ITC of preceding financial year 23-24 availed in the financial year 24-25, other than ITC reclaimed under Rule 37 and 37A. We shall be discussing this in detail right now. We'll just quickly go through the changes that have been brought in so that all of us are on the same page when we discuss all of this in detail. So now, since they've brought in 6A1, from 6A, they have bifurcated the total input tax credit into 6A1 and A2, where A2 is just the new change that has been come in is just a difference between 6A and A1. Then the next change that has been brought in is in 6H, where they've changed the language and now it has been made broader, where they've not just put in amount of ITC reclaimed under the provisions of the Act. 6J is again I minus A2. When we go on to the next, table 7 has Rule 37A inserted, newly inserted, and Rule 38 inserted. Rule 37, 37A we shall be discussing. 37 is when payment is not made to the suppliers within 180 days. 37A is when the supplier has filed GSTR 1 but not filed GSTR 3B. So we are supposed to do the reversal for those credit which for which GSTR 3B has not been filed and reclaim it once it is filed. Moving on, again, a major amendment that has been brought in is in Table 8, where Table 8A, amount of GSTR 2B, ITC available as per GSTR 2B shall be auto-populated here. However, this amount has been new amounts are being incorporated, auto-populated, which have been properly explained. And we have invoice-wise breakup as well for that, which again, we shall be discussing in detail later on. 6B, summation, ITC, which was earlier getting auto-populated here from the table above, table 6, is again recalculated here. H1, again, another row which has been newly inserted is H1, which is IGST credit availed on import of goods in next financial year. Earlier, we were only mentioning the IGST credit availed on import of goods during the said financial year. Now they've incorporated another row for credit which is carried forward on account of import of goods and claimed in the next financial year. Table 9, there is some cosmetic change here where they've incorporated another column for total tax paid, which is summation of tax paid through cash as well as paid through ITC, and then they're bringing in difference between tax payable and tax paid. Similar difference, total difference they're taking out in table 14 as well, where they have put in payable, paid, and another column has been inserted, which is the difference between payable and paid. Part 5 of GSTR 9 has also been amended, where the language has been changed. Earlier, it was a little confusing, where all the officers were also questioning it a lot, where they were mentioning in table 12 and 13 ITC of previous financial year, which they have removed this time, and they've just said ITC of financial year reversed in the next financial year, ITC of financial year availed in the next financial year. This overall sums up the changes in Form GSTR 9. In GSTR 9, we can see that there are the changes are same for outward supply for e-commerce operators, and which is it. There aren't any changes for the ITC, input tax credit. You can see the yellow highlighted rows are the rows where there have been changes. So in rate-wise, supplies on which e-commerce operator is required to pay tax has been newly inserted. And Here in table 11, they have clarified tax can be paid through cash or ITC, which needs to be disclosed in case of additional amount payable when while filing Form GSTR 990. This sums up the changes that have been brought in Form GSTR 9 and 9C, and now we can move on to the table-wise discussion on how to fill up Form GSTR 9. Anshuma, would you like to take it up?
I think we'll go to Anshuma first. Anshuma, over to you on this.
Yes, please tell me, Arup.
So we'll now go table-wise quickly. About I think we'll start with the output supply first.
We could.
Yeah.
Yes. So again, without dwelling in what was existing earlier, I would just very briefly like to sum up that the outward supply, I'll go to the basics so that we all revise the basics when we are filing our 99C. When we calculate the outward supply, the first step in which, while we are making the reconciliation, is to classify our supplies from B2C and B2B. What is happening is that at certain times in our books of accounts, we record the supply as B2B, while the actual, while in GSTR 1, the supply may have gone as B2C for the simple reason that the supplier has got cancelled, right? And we still have the GSTR number. We recorded the supply as B2B. In the GSTR 1, it has been shown as B2C, fully possible. There are certain exports which may have been recorded as supplies to SEZ in our GSTR 1 and shown as B2B supplies, still showing as exports in our books of accounts. So these are certain issues where the total tax payable may be correct. The total turnover may be matching. However, the segregation between the total turnover into its appropriate head, where B2C supplies, B2B supplies, zero-rated supplies without payment of tax and zero-rated supplies with payment of taxes should be shown separately. Supply to SEZ and zero-rated supply other than supply to SEZ, like export out of our country, should also be appropriately segregated. So while filling up table 4, these are the important things we should keep in mind. It is also important to note that the annual return serves as a place where if any error has already gone in our outward supply earlier, this is the place where we can correct it. So the correct liabilities can be reported here if this taxes have been paid in the incorrect head. If taxes have been shown under B2C instead of B2B, this is the place where we can make the corrections. So while filling up the outward supply, we have to keep that in mind. There's one small point which all of us should also keep in mind is that the B2C supplies is shown net. The debit note and the credit notes relating to B2C supplies are all reported in table 4A. But in respect of B2B supplies, the credit notes and the debit notes are shown separately in table 4I and 4J. So with that keeping in mind, we could fill up this table. Suppose there are any supplies on which we have not paid taxes, which have omitted to be shown in our GSTR 1 and 3B, and the time to amend the same has also gone by. Suppose we are filing our annual return in December and we have not shown these supplies. Again, there are two options. One view is that we may show these supplies in GSTR 9, and now the difference will be captured in table 9 below. So Ruchi, if you could go down to table 9. In the table 9, earlier, the right side difference was not available. So the tax payable was a figure which was calculated by us, and the tax paid through cash and paid through ITC was something which the system auto-populated. Right? Now, if the tax payable was more or less than the total taxes paid, the difference was not being shown in GSTR 9. Now it is being shown here, and it can be taken as a way of paying the taxes. This difference can be disclosed here, paid separately through DRC 03 or in our subsequent returns, and appropriately disclosed. Another way would obviously be to show the GSTR 9 based on the returns which we have actually filed, and then to show the complete liability in our GSTR 9C, allow the difference to come there, and from there we could pay the taxation difference by explaining the reason for the same. My personal professional point of view, I would prefer to fill the GSTR 9 as per the GSTR 1 and 3B, which I have already filed. I would prefer to raise the difference in GSTR 9, the liability portion, and pay it through the 9C, show the difference there and file a DRC 03 and pay the difference there. With respect to output tax, that is basically the summing up of the table. Moving on to the input tax portion, Arupda, should I continue or how
No,
should
No, I had certain things that we
Yes,
could
please.
further discuss on outward supply actually. So
Yeah.
GSTR 1A was introduced in 24-25 itself. Not many of us have actually used 1A, but we can have a brief discussion on what exactly it is. And then we can also actually connect 9 with 9C and then move on to input tax credit, because that's going to be a lengthy discussion. So we can just finish the outward supply and just keep it aside.
Yes.
So
GSTR 1A, yes, extremely important point from Suruchi. Now that the 1A has come, do we think that the table 4A would include GSTR 1A or will it not? So the FAQs from the department and also practically whatever we are saying, the amendments, if made in GSTR 1, are being duly pulled in the GSTR 9, which is being system generated. And also any additions in GSTR 1 in the form of invoices which were accidentally not shown in GSTR 1 are also being pulled in table 4. And therefore, any kind of changes which we are making in GSTR 1A is being shown in GSTR 1. Another point is regarding the IMS. If we have issued, let's say, a credit note, and the party, we have the credit note reflects in the 2B of the, 2B of the recipient, and the recipient rejects the credit note. Will it affect the GSTR 9? The FAQ says that the rejection should not have any impact on our outward disclosures, and it would remain the same as per the GSTR 1 and 3B, which we have already filed. Now, relating the GSTR 9 to GSTR 9C, for that, I would like to share my screen briefly and show a GSTR 9C here, where we have to keep in mind certain things, that the annual turnover as declared in GSTR 9 is pulled in table 5Q of GSTR 9C. Now, there may be adjustments in, sorry, I'll just close my WhatsApp so that it's not shared again and again. Yeah. Now, as we can see, the turnover which is in the audited financial statements may vary from the turnover which has been declared in our annual return for various reasons. These reasons we are mostly aware of, and therefore I will not go into details there. But to give you a few examples, interest income. Interest income is an exempt supply, which can be disclosed either in GSTR 9 or shown in GSTR 9C. Under GSTR 9, the interest income can be shown in table 5D. Or we may prefer to show the interest income in this 5O and, basically show it as an exempted supply here, or just disclose it as a part of table 5O. The reason being that most department queries come from the exempted supply, which we've shown here, and reversal of credit is asked for. So again, practically speaking, we may have two viewpoints where the exempted income may be shown here, or we may shift the exempted incomes to table 5O. Other reasons for difference in table 5O could be related to profit on sale of motor car, could be discount received against purchases which are shown on the credit side of the PL, could be relating to round off, etc. The value of exempted supplies, non-GST supplies, etc. also comes in here, which ideally should match with the table 5 of our GSTR 9. And ultimately, the total turnover, which is shown here, is the taxable turnover, which is pulled from above, which does not include the RCM turnover. It is important to remember that the taxable turnover which comes here is pulled from GSTR 9 and does not include the taxable, the RCM turnover, the inward supplies on which taxes are paid. This table 9 is extremely important in respect of outward supply. It is very important again to segregate our RCM liability correctly within 5% and 18%. We have noted time and again during audits of the files that if the entire RCM is disclosed under one rate, and even if we have paid RCM, for example, on legal expenses or security charges at the rate of 18%, the department is reluctant to accept the same because the same has not been correctly shown in the table 9. So table 9 should also be made in a manner where the things are reconciling with the books of accounts and with our annual returns.
Yeah. Thank you, Anshuma. I think I would just put in some more thoughts here regarding the output supply. One of the important thoughts is that from the litigation angle that we are experiencing is, in many of the cases, we are not reconciling with 26 AS or the balance that or the turnover that we are reporting in our ITRs. So Anshuma has rightly put in that whatever strategy we are taking in GSTR 9 while filing the return, whether as per returns or as per the books, we also need to keep in mind that we also need to reconcile our turnover as per GSTR 9C, because that is the turnover which is being compared with the turnover of 9, and also keep in mind that whether there is a difference with 26 AS or the ITR. And if there is such a reason, that also needs to be reconciled in the initial stage before the GSTR 9 is filed. Reason being, in many cases we have found that wherein the invoices have been issued, the TDS has been deducted, but just because the payment has not been received, in those cases they have chosen, not to kind of show it to some credit notes or things like that. So whatever may be the reporting has to be accurate. Even if I've issued a invoice and issued a credit note, if it's a B2B, both needs to be reported, or tomorrow we will be told that the particular information is suppressed. Second important thing that we are seeing from the litigation angle is regarding exempt supply and export of services, wherein maybe exempt supply is considered by the particular taxpayer because he's getting it on exempt basis. But please, as a professional, let's also verify while filing it in exempt, why it is exempt. Let us really ask the question to the taxpayers, or maybe review it as to why that particular term or that particular item is exempt and under which heading, which entry, because that is the answer that we need to give in after 2 years. When, just for example, like maybe for the, and also for different purposes, like for Rule 42, something is considered to be exempt, something is not considered to be exempt. So all those things need to be considered. Like sea freight is not to be considered as exempt for the purpose of Rule 42, but air freight is to be considered as exempt for a certain period till 2020, 21. So all those things need to be checked at that end, that whether I'm treating the exempt supply properly or not, because that has a repercussion later on. Another important thing that we are seeing, because of which we are going to the high courts and all, is export of services. Export of goods, we are not facing much of a problem because that's a particular process. But export of services, there are certain formalities that need to be followed. If those are not followed, then if you are not complying with the definition of export of services, that is not coming within the purview of export of services, tax will be payable. Now, whether it's a technical mistake, it's a formality mistake, whether, what are the other litigative angles, those are to be considered later on. First, we need to understand and appreciate that we need to tell the client that this is not fulfilling the condition of export of services as per this condition, and so this is the risk that is borne. Because while after 3 years the client is getting a notice, he is coming and saying, I didn't know that this is not fulfilling the condition of export of services. If I had known, I would have paid the tax at the time of filing of GSTR 9 and 9C.
Absolutely.
So these are some of the important things from outward supply angle.
We have also missed the amendments that are to be reported in table 10 and 11.
Yes.
The total turnover that comes in GSTR 9C includes the adjustment plus and minus of table 10 and 11.
Right.
So rather, when we are filing GSTR 9, generally GSTR 9 is auto-populated for outward supplies entirely. So the main thing that we do as professionals also is reconcile with the statutory financial statements. And if everything is reconciling, unless we have to add any outward supply, we are filling up 9C and giving rate-wise detail. However, another thing to check for sure is to see if we have filed any previous year invoice in the next financial year. So for 24-25, if we have filed any income in 25-26, we need to incorporate that in our GSTR 9. Because later on, then that creates a problem where our GSTR 1 shows up. Our GSTR 1 might show income of 1,000 rupees, where actually for 25-26 income would be for 800 rupees only. So that 200 rupees difference we need to actually account for in 24-25 GSTR 9 in table 10. So that is another important aspect that one needs to look into. Because generally, in case the clients are not very structured or the accounts are not very structured, it might so happen that some invoice has been reported in 25-26 for 24-25, but it gets neglected and it is not reported in 24-25 GSTR. So that's another thing to check. So another checkpoint.
I think yes, that is again a critical thing. So apart from this, Suruchi, would you like to take up on the ITC part right now, or while discussing our case studies? How do you like to do it? I think you can briefly cover on the ITC aspects.
Yes, we can. So I'll just rather start off with this only. So I'm not sharing my screen as of now, just having a discussion because I can see everyone there. So what for GSTR 9 they have tried to do is align GST returns with the annual return that we are filling in, which is why the outward supply difference amendment we can also see for e-commerce operator. GSTR 1 had that new table used and in 24-25, and which is why they've also incorporated GSTR 9 for e-commerce supplies. For input tax credit, the things get a little tricky where the auto-populated details are very limited. So we get only 6A, which is again not entire GSTR 3B input tax credit table. It is only 4A. So where 4A has all the input tax credit we have availed. So at this point, it is very important to first refer to the new amendment disclosures that had come in GSTR 3B since August 22. So it is not something very new. GSTR 2B got introduced and GSTR 3B disclosures were amended together. Basis that we faced a lot of issues while filing GSTR 9 for 23-24 because initially we were filing returns basis GSTR 2B and the new disclosure in GSTR 3B, but GSTR 9 was not amended. So we faced that issue where there were a lot of differences. Explainable differences. It was not that it was unreconciled difference, but yet there were differences, which again calls for notices, and we'll have to explain to the departmental officers who do not understand the intricacies of the form. Now they have amended GSTR 9 to somewhat account for all the amendments that were brought in GSTR 3B. However, again, the differences cannot be altogether avoided. As in when we do case studies, we'll understand that every individual person can have a different interpretation as to what amount should be figured in. However, and all of them are right, no one is wrong, and all of it is bringing in some difference in some form or the other. So either you'll get a difference in GSTR 9 or you'll get a difference in GSTR 9C. It is unavoidable. So the first point is to consider that as a given and then move on. As long as we can account for, we can justify any and every figure, GSTR 9 is correct. So for input tax credit, what they've done is they have total input tax credit that we have availed. So now the word availed is whatever credit we have put in table 4A before reversals. Then we do reversals in table 4B. And then we get net ITC availed in table 4C. 4C is the credit that we are actually availing. So before starting off with tables in GSTR 9, what I would like to point out is that 4C contains two types of credits. One is the credit taken in 24-25 for invoices of 24-25. And the other is the credit taken in 24-25 for invoices of 23-24. I am not going into the details whether it was reflected in GSTR 2B of which year or whether it was in our books of accounts in which year. So while filling up form GSTR 9, we have to only consider GSTR 2B, table 8 of GSTR 9 and GSTR 3B. So for the time being, while we are filling GSTR 9, we should not consider books of accounts and we should only focus on these three forms so that we can first align these three forms. And then when we are filling GSTR 9C, we will move on to the books of accounts. Where books of accounts, people might have adopted different accounting practices to account for all the input tax credit. Basis that GSTR 9C disclosures would change. So having said that, table 4 is all the credit that we take, which briefly can be credit on import of goods, credit on import of services, credit of tax paid on reverse charge, ISD credit, and any other. So any other comprises of all the credit which is reflected in GSTR 2B and carried forward from the previous months, which we had carried forward and brought down this month. So the total is coming in 6A. Again, it comprises of both the credit pertaining to 23-24 and 24-25. 6A1, which has been newly introduced, asks us to differentiate, to bifurcate the credit between 23-24 and 24-25. So they are saying that ITC, now I think I should share the screen.
Yeah, we are used to seeing the tables, so
yes, it will be easier to. Anshuma, do you want me to open your form because I have your form open as well?
Yeah, that I think it will help you better. The figures are there, so
yeah. So now we have 6A.
So if you want.
Yeah. So now we have 6A, which is absolutely auto-populated. The figures cannot be changed. It is flowing directly from form GSTR 3B. Again, all of us are on the same page on this, that we can download GSTR 3B entire year's total figures from GSTR 9 portal only, from the GSTN portal. So there we can actually correlate the figures. 6A is 4A ka total. Now 6A1 is where they're asking us to fill in ITC of preceding financial year availed in the current financial year other than ITC reclaimed under Rule 3737A. So since ITC reclaimed under Rule 3737A are to be separately shown in 6H, they are not to be included in 6A1. 6A contains credit, any other credit other than ITC reclaimed under Rule 3737A, which pertains to the preceding financial year. So when we are filling up GSTR 9 for 24-25, the first thing that we are supposed to do is bifurcate 6A credit to the 2 years and disclose in 6A1 the credit of 23-24, which has been availed in 24-25. 6A2, now since it's a difference figure between 6A, after subtracting 6A1 from 6A, so this ideally, as per FAQ as well, shows credit of 24-25. So theoretically, it should show credit of 24-25, and in the easier files, in the smaller files, it will reflect that, which then needs to be bifurcated into inputs, capital goods, and input services. Again, going to the instructions of form GSTR 9, input service input bifurcation is not compulsory. We can just simply bifurcate between capital goods, and the balance figure can go into inputs. For reverse charge, again, registered, unregistered, there has been no change in this, and we've been filling it up for years now. 6H now shows a big change. Earlier, we were not using this table all that much. Depending on the clients and the scenario situations, we were using this. But now it's become compulsory. If we now, while explaining these, we can just take 1 or 2 examples also by which we'll be able to correlate what all figures we are mentioning. Anshuma purchased some goods from me. I had billed her in April 24. She got the goods in May 24. I was a very compliant taxpayer. I had filed my GSTR 1 timely and GSTR 3B timely, and she got that invoice in her GSTR 2B in April 24 itself. However, since she had not received the goods, she could not have taken the credit. So all she had to do was avail the credit in 4A5, reverse it, do temporary reversal in 4B2 of form GSTR 3B. I'm hoping everyone can follow the form serial numbers.
Maybe we can have a form also. Yeah.
Do you want me to open form GSTR 3B? Okay. You'll have to give me 1 second. Let me just download the form. Yeah, I think all of you can see my screen now. So I have GSTR 3B open right in front of me. This is actually very crucial that we get really comfortable with these entries in form GSTR 3B, whereas, pardon me?
No, carry on. Absolutely.
Ma'am, please zoom the form.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Can you go a bit slow? It's going too fast.
Okay.
You might have to ask me to slow down. I'm so sorry.
And Mahavir sir, you had some other questions?
You might have to ask me to slow down, please. Sorry.
Okay. And Mahavir sir, did you have any other question? That time you had raised the hand.
We can put it at the end of the session, I think.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
It was about the outward supply. We will put it at the end of the session.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So again, I'll just quickly recap. This GSTR 3B form, we have to be really comfortable with all the entries that come in this GSTR 3B. We file this every month. It is absolutely important for us to fill it correctly. Any mistake, however, is not to that extent bad because we can make corrections in GSTR 9. However, it is high time, since the amendments were brought in August 2022, it is high time that we file this form correctly. Where 4A5 that you all can see all other ITC. As per the new amendment that was brought in, the total credit which is reflected in GSTR 2B is to be reported in 4A5. Earlier, when GST was implemented, what we were doing was, in our input tax credit, we had ITC of 100 rupees. We were simply showing it in table 4A5, 100 rupees, claiming that in 4C as net ITC available, and this credit was getting reflected in our electronic credit ledger. I hope all of us are on the same page on this. From August 22, there was a change, there was a shift. GSTR 2B was brought in, wherein it was said that you have to avail the total credit that is reflected in GSTR 2B. So in the example that we were discussing, where I had sold goods to Anshuma did not take credit in April 24 because she had not received the goods. She can only take credit once she has received the goods in May 24. But in April 24, since I filed the return and in her GSTR 2B, she can see my invoice, she will have to disclose that credit in 4A5 of April 24. Then do temporary reversal in 4B2.
Correct.
Since she cannot take the credit. Next month, so April, May, what she did was, she showed my invoice ka credit in 4A5, reversed it in 4B2, her net ITC available in 4C was 0 for April. Now comes May 24. She had no other purchases. Her April purchase was reflected. Now she is supposed to take the credit of that invoice in May 24. So what she did was she disclosed in 4D1 as ITC reclaimed, which was reversed under table 4B2 in earlier tax period. So something that she had reversed in April 24 in 4B2, she disclosed in 4D1, added it in 4A5 and claimed the credit in 4C. Again, I hope 4D1, where she is disclosing that it's a previous period's credit, which she's taking in May 24, and she's adding it in 4A5 so that she can avail the credit in 4C, and the amount that gets reflected in net ITC available 4C gets reflected in electronic credit ledger, which is the credit she's actually availed. So here, this table has now been aligned. This GSTR 9 has been aligned with the amendments that were made here. So 6A will have the ITC available entirely as in 4A, which will include import of goods, import of services, inward supplies liable to reverse charge, inward supplies from ISD, and all other ITC. In Anshuma's case, the same invoice credit got reflected twice in 4A5. First in April 24, when she reversed it in 4B2, and second in May 24, when she added it in 4A5 by disclosing in 4D1. You all will have to be a bit interactive so that I understand that all of us are on the same page.
Yes, we are on the same.
Yes, Suruchi, we are.
So 6A now has, so now when we move to GSTR 9, 6A has the credit twice. The same invoice, supposing the invoice credit is 1,000 rupees, 6A has 2,000 rupees in Anshuma's case, and 6A1 has 0 because this invoice is for 24-25 only. 6A2 again will have 2,000 rupees, but actually she's availed only 1,000. 4A5 show 2,000 twice because once it was reversed and the next month it was reclaimed. So here in this case, we will show 1,000 in 6B1 as inputs, and we will show 1,000 in 6H, amount of ITC reclaimed. If we complete this cycle, we'll have to, in order to understand everything here, table 7 reversal is showing from 6O minus 7I. 6O is sum of I plus N.
Correct.
I is sum total B2H. So this has 2,000 rupees in it. So if we now 3B and GSTR 9 aligned in the sense, GSTR 3B if we see for full year, it will show 4A5 2,000, 4B 2,000, net ITC 1,000, 4D 1,000. So we have connected 4D1 has come in 6H, 1,000 has come in 2,000 of 4A5 has come in 6A2, 6A and 6A2.
So, Suruchi,
1,000.
Suruchi, I'll
Yes.
have to interrupt. Arpita Modiji is requesting to put it in terms of figures.
Yeah, I
In
did.
the GSTR 9. The same thing which you're saying, if you can put it in the
Okay,
Excel in figures.
okay, yeah, good enough.
Acha, but before that, Suruchi, I'd just like you to take to 3B ones, that 3B.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I would
I
also
can't
like to-
type in this, honestly.
No,
so-
you can't type. I would just like to add one more thing here, that actually from, as Suruchi ji was sharing, from August 22 onward, there are two classes of taxpayers. One class of taxpayers were obedient, good bachas, very good. They follow the rule. They followed the circular. What do? They take, as per Suruchi ji has said, whatever is coming in 2B, they take in 4A5. Then whatever temporary reversal is there, they show in 4B2. Whatever permanent reversal is there, like block credit, Rule 42, 43, Rule 38, all those credit they'll show in 4B1 and they'll follow the circular in spirit. And there is another group of taxpayers who have not followed this circular. They have just availed the 3B as they used to, the ITC in the 3B as they used to, even before August 22. So, if just to go back to one example of the Suruchi has taken, say there is a credit of 1,000 rupees in my 2B, out of that, 150 rupees is for block credit of motor vehicles. So 850 is my net eligible credit. So from August 22 onwards, if I follow circular 170, I'm supposed to take 1,000 rupees in 4A5. I'm supposed to take 150 in 4B1. And as in 4C, the net amount of 850 will travel to my electronic credit ledger, which fulfills the definition of ITC availed. But there is a second class of taxpayers also who have not reported in this manner. They have reported 850 directly in 4A5. So whenever we'll discuss the case studies, there will be scenarios where we will tell you again and again that only if you follow circular 170, this would hold good. So that's why we wanted to discuss about circular 170 here. Now we'll go back to Suruchi once again so that we can go to GSTR 9 and as per the request of Arpita Modiji, we can go through figures.
So right now when we're discussing first the theoretical intent of GSTR 9. So we will only talk about taxpayers who followed circular 170.
Yes.
So who have actually filled in GSTR 3B correctly. And we will also take up scenarios where people have not. But that will come later when we'll address separately, because right now it's important to first understand the entire purpose of GSTR 9 and the amendments that have been brought in. So 6A, in my example, my invoice to Anshuma Di was for 1,000 rupees CGST credit and 1,000 rupees SGST credit. As against that, because of the fact that my invoice was dated 30th April and Anshuma Di received the goods on 2nd May, 2,000 rupees is coming in 6A as auto-populated from form GSTR 3B. Now, this is since the invoice is not pertaining to 23-24, there is absolutely no disclosure in 6A1. And now we have 2,000 coming in 6A2. Actually, for Anshuma Di, it is a single purchase of 1,000 CGST, 1,000 SGST. So she will mention, and it's a good. So she will mention 1,000 in 6B2 as inputs. If it's capital goods, she'll mention it as capital goods. If it's input service, she'll mention it as input service. Now, 1,000 rupees will come here in 6H. And 6B to 6H is the total. So the net difference is coming as 0. So
Right.
here, the crux of the thing is that 6B contains actual purchases. It does not contain any fictitious figure. You have to have invoice-wise details of all the figures that you're putting in actually. But in 6B, you will have invoice-wise figures as these are the inputs, these are the capital goods, these are the input services. So having said this, now my subtotal in 6O is coming as 2,000. Whereas actual purchase is for 1,000 CGST, 1,000 SGST. So 7H, other reversals will have 1,000 more. So what I will do is I will go back to form GSTR 3B. And this is net ITC available as per GSTR, as per form GSTR 3B. This is serial number 4C. This is a very simple scenario where there are no invoices for 23-24. So please do not take this as a formula. There's absolutely no formula that can be made in Form GSTR 9. I am not suggesting any formula. I am not saying that in all cases net ITC as per Form GSTR 3B will match with 7J. In this particular case where there's only one invoice purchased by Anshuma, the total credit as per 4C of Form GSTR 3B is reconciling with 7J of Form GSTR 9. In this case, again, as per Circular 170, we showed 2,000 rupees here, 1,000 as reversal, and 1,000 as reclaimed. We have exactly shown that in Form GSTR 9 now. This was not there earlier, so this has been brought in from 24-25, where 2,000 as per 4A5 is coming here, 1,000 which is the actual credit availed is coming in 6B, 1,000 which is reclaimed because it was reversed once in April 24 is being shown in 6H, and the 1,000 reversal is coming in 7H. In case the invoices are only for 24-25, credit has been claimed in 24-25, there is no credit carried forward or brought down. In a likely scenario, 6H would reconcile with 7H. In this scenario, in small entities where there are no credit carried forward or brought down, so whatever reversal we have made would likely have been reclaimed since there's no credit carried forward. So 7H and 6H would reconcile. And it is reconciling in few of my clients. I don't know. I hope, Anshuma, you agree with me with this. Now in 8A. So table 8 has also been amended. But in this particular scenario, for Anshuma's case, 1,000 rupees will be appearing in form in GSTR 2B and in 8A. And sum of 6B will only be appearing. So earlier it was showing as 6B to 6H, which has now been changed. And only 6B total is being taken. So the net difference again comes to 0. This is the most simplistic way of understanding Form GSTR 9. Where
for your information, not reconciling anywhere for even the smallest people.
No, but in my case, it did reconcile for 2-3 cases. And in your case also, when you have just one invoice, it is reconciling. But your form is reconciling. Please don't make any more purchases. You just complicate the thing. Just one purchase from me. So in this case, it is reconciling. Again, there is absolutely no formula that we can say that 7H would be same as 6H or 7J would be same as 4C of 3B. Whatever formula we've had multiple discussions amongst professionals where we've thought that this formula can be applied, which can be universally told to everyone, but there's absolutely no formula. Even slight modification in scenario changes Form GSTR 9 and disclosures, and our stand changes. So there's no fixed stand also that one can take for that unilaterally that can be applied. So this, however, sums up the amendments that have been brought in. Now, just going into input tax credit, in Anshuma's case, supposing there was another invoice. Anshuma, you did purchase another. What are you purchasing from me, by the way?
Your services, Suruchi.
Yes.
Oh, then I did wrong. Sorry, my mistake. It's input service. So,
We don't have to segregate it.
but I would never raise a bill on you.
Yes.
But okay. But if you're paying, I don't mind actually. I take back my words. So I have raised another invoice on Anshuma in March. And this is advance. I will be doing a hearing for her in April. I raised an invoice in March and asked her for full payment beforehand. So March invoice I raised and I filed GSTR 2B also timely. So this March 24 I'm talking about. So now we've brought in another invoice which is of 23-24, which they can only avail in 24-25. So March 23-24 May I showed one invoice of 1,000 rupees and showed to Anshuma, going back to Form GSTR 3B. For March, it was there in 4A5. 4B2, it was reversed, 1,000 rupees. Net ITC availed was 0.
Yes.
Now in April, she is claiming it. So are we supposed to show that 1,000 rupees here? This is ITC of preceding financial year availed in current financial year. So my invoice of March 24 is ITC of preceding financial year, which they availed in current financial year. So there's another school of thought, which I think Dee has a different school of thought here. Or I don't know whether she agrees. But another school of thought here is ITC of preceding financial year. Is it ITC invoice wise that we are seeing it as preceding financial year, or eligibility wise whether it is preceding financial year? So in this case, where my invoice has been issued in advance in March, where she will be eligible to claim in April, will we classify this ITC as preceding financial year, where the invoice is 23-24, availed in 24-25, or of current financial year, because eligibility to claim credit is in current financial year? As a professional, I think I'm taking the stand that it is ITC of preceding financial year only, and I would like to show it in 6A1.
Suruchi, my point of view here is, why is it different? I'll tell you briefly.
Yes.
You show here in 6A1 that this 1,000 rupees you are claiming as an ITC of previous financial year.
Correct.
So in simple words, 23-24 ITC you are claiming in 24-25.
Correct.
This ITC was not disclosed in your table 13 of 23-24 because, for the simple reason that it was not an eligible ITC which was not recorded in your books of accounts in 23-24. When you prepared your ITC register for 23-24, this
Correct.
1,000 rupees invoice was not there.
Correct.
Because the credit became eligible to me in 24-25, and therefore I wanted to claim it in 24-25.
Correct.
If an officer would now do an audit for financial year 23-24, they would typically pick up the GSTR 9 for 24-25 also. And they would say that in 24-25, if you could go up to table 6A1, they would say that you have claimed the credit for 23-24 of 1,000 rupees, and they would add it to my ITC register.
Correct.
Which is not the correct position. The correct position is that this 1,000 rupees has been claimed by me in 24-25. Only the invoice was dated 23-24. Okay. So, in my humble opinion, this 1,000 rupees should not be reflected here. If you delete this 1,000 rupees here, then we come to a difference in 6AJ of 1,000 rupees. No.
Okay.
For 6B, it remains 1,000. A difference of 1,000 rupees remains in 6J. And 6J, I would explain that these are the invoices which were dated 23-24, but have been claimed in my books of accounts in financial year 24-25, and therefore this difference in 6J remains.
Why aren't we showing it in 6B2 as 2,000? Because your point is the credit can be either for previous year 23-24 or it can be for 24-25.
Now, if we show it in 6B2, let's go down to table 8. What happens here is that here 8A. Okay, before going on to this further, we need to know what table 8A now means.
So
Earlier-
8A, yeah, sorry, please continue.
So table 8A has now been changed, and table 8A would include only those invoices which are dated for financial year 24-25. It can include, of course, the 2B, which has been filed during financial year 24-25. The maximum invoices will come from there. There may be certain invoices dated 24-25 which have been shown in the 2B filed for financial year 25-26. Those invoices will also come in this table 8A.
This is actually very important. This everyone needs to know, that even though it is saying ITC as per GSTR 2B, it is actually a mixture between GSTR 2A and 2B, where 2B also contains those values which are actually filed in the next financial year, but for 24-25, so all of that gets added here.
Further, there are certain invoices dated 23-24 which have been shown in 2B of 24-25. They have been removed from table 8A. So ultimately, table 8A comprises of all invoices which are dated for financial year 24-25, irrespective of whether they have been disclosed in the 2B of 24-25 or 25-26, irrespective of the invoices of 23-24 which have been disclosed in the 2B of financial year 24-25. Is that absolutely clear? So 8A basically comprises, I'll repeat again, of invoices dated financial year 24-25. The date of the invoice is relevant, not when the GSTR 1 has been filed, not the period of the 2B at all.
And another interesting thing, Anshuma, is that
Yes.
now there is a transition provision in table 8A. How? There are some invoices of 23-24 which did not appear in last year's 2A, 8A. They will
True.
not appear in this year's 8A
We will
also.
come to that, Arup. That's a very typical example and a very interesting example.
Yes.
So going back to Suruchi's example, where we had an invoice upar, which was dated 23-24,
Yes.
availed correctly in my books of accounts in 24-25 because the services or oblique the goods were received in 24-25, not shown in my books in 23-24. If I show it in the 6B of the current year, my table 8C, go down, immediately reflects a difference of 1,000 rupees.
Which is why they suggested that it is okay to neither show in 6A1 nor in 6B and to let a difference arise in 6J. This is what these perspective is. My opinion is that ultimately we have to ensure, again, there's no we have to, sorry. In my view, we should do this, that 8D shows nil difference or a positive difference so that we may avoid notices later on. So in order to show nil or positive difference here, we can either show it as 6J, but sorry, in order to show nil or positive difference here, we have to focus on the invoices that are appearing in 8A, which are dated 24-25. So the date of invoice is becoming very relevant for table 8, is what we understand. So for filling up table 6 also, what I am thinking is that I will make the date of invoice only relevant, irrespective of eligibility.
Absolutely.
So in my view, this 1,000 rupees of 23-24 is getting reflected in 6A1. If I solely focus on the invoice date and not when it is becoming eligible, when I'm putting it in my books of accounts, or when I am filing GSTR 1, because I, as a non-compliant taxpayer, might not have filed March GSTR 1 within due date, or I might have skipped Anshumadi's invoice in my March return and showed it in May's return. So she will get it in her May GSTR 2B. So in all those scenarios, what I am considering is that as long as the date is of 23-24, as long as I've availed in 24-25, I will show it in 6A1.
Yes, Suruchi, I think even I'll go with that idea only. That's the kind of idea that, or the advice that I am giving to our clients also, that just be with the invoice date. Because if you see the entire framework that has been developed now for 8A or 6A1, if the invoice date is of 23-24 and it's appearing in my 2B of 24-25 and I've availed it in maybe 24-25, even then it will be considered as the ITC of the preceding year, which is the heading of, if I read the heading of 6A1, it's ITC in respect of preceding financial year. So here in respect of preceding financial year has to be connected with the invoice date and not the date of the 2B. So that is one of the, not only with the date of 2B, but also with the invoice date. And invoice date will play a predominant role here. Why? Because as soon as I put that in 6A1, my 6B will get reduced to that extent. So my now 8A and my 8B will not have any difference, which will not lead to any difference in 8D.
But we take the risk of last year's table 13 not matching with the 6A1.
Thank you, Anshuma, for bringing this up. So yes, I think that is again one big thing that is there, which is not brought out in the FAQ also, that there can be inherent difference between last year's 13 and this year's 6A1. What will happen to this year's 13 and next year's 6A1, that our panelists will take in some time when we'll have the case studies. But as far as last year's 13 is concerned, as Anshuma ji rightly said, it will not match with the 6A1 of this year. So that's why we need to keep in mind that 8A is a wonderful creature this time. It, as Suruchi has put it, that it's of, as Anshuma ji has put it, it's of invoices of 24-25, in which period they are coming. and 23-24 की invoices वो कहीं पे appear नहीं करेंगे. So you have to go with that. That's the thing.
Yes.
So I think we'll move forward from here.
No, I don't want to move forward. I love 6A1. Actually, I can talk
Yes.
about it for hours.
Yes, no, but we don't have hours. We have
No, then I'll take few more minutes.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'll just sum up whatever we've discussed. That
Yeah.
invoices dated 23-24, which have been claimed or not claimed in 24-25 will be coming here. Why am I saying claimed or not claimed? There's one ineligible credit, supposing construction of immovable property, which got reflected in GSTR 2B of 24-25. Invoice dated, so I'm a constructor now. So as a constructor, I raised an invoice in March 24, but I did not file the return timely. So it got reflected in Anshuma these GSTR 2B in May 24. So in May 24, in 4A5, it is coming. So 4A5 is actually GSTR 2B. GSTR 2B has 23-24 invoices. Table 8A does not have 23-24 invoices. So in May 24, Anshumadi showed that my construction invoice in 4A5 and then reversed it under permanent reversal in 4B1. So this ineligible credit of 23-24, which is appearing in 2B of 24-25, is getting reflected in 6A. So now this is one credit which has not been availed. So do I absolutely not show this? Or do I show it in 6A1? Or I let it be a difference in 6J? So that's another individual call that each individual needs to take. Because in my view, one can show it as 6A1. However, this runs a risk that the officer would be like, oh, you have shown this credit here. So that means you've taken this credit. So you have to now reverse and you have to pay interest and penalty on it. Alternative is that I only show the credit which I have availed here in 6A1 and any credit pertaining to 23-24 which I have not availed for whatsoever reason, either I did not get the invoice or it is ineligible, I let it be a difference in 6J. As we were pointing out earlier, as we had shown the figures. So 6A1 is again subject to interpretation, subject to different scenarios. But in this one scenario where an ineligible credit, which is actually not availed because in 4C, it is never coming. It came in 4A5 and it went away. It was permanently reversed in 4B1. So we have actually never claimed this credit in 4C. This credit never got reflected in my electronic credit ledger. So am I justified in showing it under 6A1? Should I show it? Because it says ITC of preceding financial year availed in the current financial year. Now, who's going to explain to the GST officers that this availed is actually flowing from 4A, which is not actually availed, which is just filled in, and actually availed is 4C. So this 6A1 has this lacuna where we cannot actually identify whether we should only put in claimed or we should put in claimed and claimed both. Now we can move on from 6A1. I think I'm done with 6A1. Unless someone...
But now Sagar ji has a question. Sagar sir is
Okay.
asking that if we leave figures in 6J, then where should we reconcile it?
So what we can do is that while filing GSTR 9C, we can add other attachments. So one way of disclosing it is just to add another attachment, but that would never mitigate any notice as such. You will get a notice as long as you have a difference in 6J, but it would be identifiable and explainable. I'm actually thinking between two evils. One evil would be that the officer would come and say that this ineligible credit you've shown in 6A1, which means you have availed. So now the onus would be on us to show, no, we have not availed. There was this amendment in form GSTR 9, because of which we showed it there. Or we will get a notice that there's a difference in 6J, kindly explain. So we will give them invoice-wise details that these are ineligible credit of 23-24 appearing in 24-25, which have been shown as difference, but we have not availed. Again, to prove that we have not availed this difference figure would be easier because table 8 niche is only reconciling with 6B. So 6J difference is not actually credit excess claimed. 6J difference is disclosure lacuna in form GSTR 9. So my view is that if there's any ineligible credit, we can let it be in 6J. However, if someone wants to avoid notice at all costs, not at all costs, rather to a reasonable extent, then we can show it as 6A1. Then there's for sure it's not, if you show difference in 6J, for sure you will get a notice. Like there's 95% chance. If you show in 6A1, then you might get a notice, because we do not know to what extent the officers would be correlating 6A1 with credit of previous year taken in current year. So they would eventually, but maybe for 24-25 they will not do, and by then maybe we'll get some answers. So this is my view.
And Sagarji, the reason for why Suruchi is saying this is because we have been told that 4, 5, 6, 7, all these tables should be related only to 24-25. So that's why this reversal of credit, which we have not availed, but because of 23-24, we are not able to show it in 7. So that's why she's saying that we'll have the difference there in we are going to show it in 6A1 only, because of which there may be a question tomorrow, that is to, why this difference is coming. But even I would go with Suruchi and say that we keep this difference in 6J. I think that would be better.
Moving on to table 7 now. Dee, would you like to take up the reversals?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Anshuma, but we have to quickly take it because we'll have to also do the case studies. So 7 we have to take
I
it.
will quickly jump to 7H.
Yeah.
The other tables are self-explanatory. It is just that we have to keep in mind that all separate reversals, whatever reversals we have done in relation to exempt supply, whatever reversals we've done in respect to 180 days, whatever reversals we have done due to 3B not being filed by the supplier on time, or whatever reversals we have done in respect of block credit, they have to be appropriately disclosed here. If we go back to table 3B, the GSTR 3B, there was one column of block credit. If we come down, we see in 4B1, all the block credit is coming at one place, whether it be 42, whether it be 38, whether it be 17 subsection 5. However, if we go back to table 9, we see that the segregation of the credit is to be mentioned here. So one important point, you have to segregate the credit, the block credit, which you have not claimed in the current financial year. For any of these rules or the section 17.5, it should be appropriately segregated here. This is an opportunity for you to correct whatever mistakes have been made in GSTR 3B also in disclosure. Why I say this is 7H contains other reversals. The nature of these reversals, we have understood. The last half an hour discussion has been on this, which is very important, that as per the 3B, it is very clearly written that it is as per revised 3B disclosure.
No, this is what I have written.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
other reversals.
Explain.
One needs to write back.
That this is the nature of the reversal, which is the reversal in relation to temporary reversals, wherein the ITC has come in the 2B, but we are not claiming it. We will claim it later because we have booked the ITC in our books of accounts later. And therefore, these other reversals are coming in. 7H will comprise only of these reversals. Somehow, let's say, when we filed the 3B in financial year 24-25, the block credits were shown as other reversals. Fully possible? We had made a reconciliation. We found that there was a certain amount of credit which the client had not owned in their books of accounts. We were in a hurry to file their 2B. We did not segregate the same between temporary and permanent reversals. We all understand that in the 3B, the 4B1 and table 4B2 distinguishes between permanent reversals and temporary reversals. Similarly, table 7 here distinguishes between permanent reversals and temporary reversals. The permanent reversals being rule 42, 43, 17.5, the temporary reversals in the nature of 37A, 37 or other reversals. So where the other reversals are temporary in nature and certain reversals in the nature of permanent reversals has been included in the temporary reversals while filing a GSTR 3B, this is an opportunity to correct it here also. The same may be now segregated appropriately, and it is a good idea again to make a further reconciliation. Practically speaking, what we are doing is we are reconciling our books of accounts with GSTR 2B, and we are checking the credits which are coming in GSTR 2B and we have not shown them in our books of accounts. What can be the reason for the same? Would anyone from the audience like to contribute as to what can be a reason that there is a credit which is coming in my 2B and not being shown in my 3B or in my books of accounts?
Advance on services.
Advance on account of services. What else? We have not received the goods yet. So we will take the credit in financial year 25-26. Any other reason? There is
Invoice
a
does not pertain to me.
Then no, there is a car, ineligible ITC. This is the answer that I'm looking for. I have purchased a car, given my GSTR. The credit comes and shows in my 2B. It's not there in my books of accounts. I've not availed the credit because it is block credit. Simple. That block credit, if we have shown in the other reversals, now is the time to show it in the block credit under 17 subsection 5. Is simply what I want to imply. All right. So with that, we will close table 7. Move on to table 8. Or Arupda, would you like to take up the case studies? Or
I think we can go to the case study because there we'll discuss about table 8 in detail also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we'll quickly go to the first case study, which is very simple. Okay, and just for the benefit of the entire group, we have considered case studies from all angles, not only expert level, but I think even simple case studies have been considered so that everything is covered. So goods billed in April 2024 and goods received in May 24 and claimed in May 24. The simplest of the thing, which already Suruchi has discussed, but if we can quickly share it once again. So April we have received the bill. May we have received the invoice and received the goods, and in May we have claimed the ITC.
This was exactly the case that we were discussing, Arup. I think we can just skip this.
Yeah.
No, if we can quickly just share it once again, because now many people are in the format of case study. So we'll put it in 6B, as you have said first.
Goes in 6B.
It will come in 6B, then it will come in 6H.
Then goes in 6H.
And then it goes in table 7. 7. Yes. So that is the first thing.
And then only 1,000 rupees would be coming in table 8, which is now 8B is 1,000 of 6B.
Yes.
So the net difference is coming as 0.
Right.
So Ruchi, share cross screen, that would be better. Yes. We are used to.
I think this is the basic thing. So next is goods billed in March 2025 and received in the next year.
Okay. So I am also keeping GSTR 3B here.
Yeah.
So this example is goods billed March 25, availed. So I'm also adding one more thing, 2B March 25, availed in April 25.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically financial year 25-26 is when we have availed it.
Correct. So this, do I correlate with GSTR 3B or only stick to GSTR 9?
Only 9.
Okay.
Stick to GSTR 9, Suruchi.
So 1,000 here. So this is for financial year 24-25 that we are filling up. 1,000 here, 1,000 here, 0
Absolutely.
here, and 1,000 here, net ITC 0.
So now if you can quickly go to
Okay, and this will also show 1,000, 1,000, 0, and in table 13, 1,000, 1,000.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
This is a new entry that we've not discussed so far, because in this example, we have a credit which is appearing in 24-25, claimed in the next financial year. It is already appearing in my GSTR 3B in table 4, which is why it is also appearing in 6A and 6B. So in table 8, there is no difference altogether, because this 1,000 rupees, which is reflected in 24-25, is also reflected in my GSTR 2B and table 8A of 24-25. So since this is already given as availed in 24-25, so there is no further disclosure requirement required in table 8C. So 8C now, Arupda, we'll just tweak this example a bit, and so that we can also cover table 8C.
Okay.
And then this, so now another crucial point we've come across, that there will always be a difference in 8C and table 13. Not always, again, depending on scenarios, but yes, 8C and 13 need not be the same.
They will not be in most circumstances.
Yes. So in this particular example, an invoice of 24-25 for which GSTR 2B was also filed in 24-25, for which GSTR 3B 4A5, that figure was taken and then temporary reversal made. That 1,000 rupees will appear in 6A, will appear, its bifurcation will appear in 6B, and the total will appear in table 8B. So no disclosure is required in 8C. However, it is absolutely important that we disclose it in table 13, since we have not actually availed it in 24-25. It was claimed in 25-26.
And now we
And
will
also
go
the
to
reversal. Suruchi, the reversal also in 7.
Sorry. So there is also a reversal in table 7.
Now go to the 9C of the same thing.
Okay, very nice. So now we are moving on to 9C. So this invoice is not appearing in my books of accounts.
I will take a minute here, Suruchi. In 9C, we go to table 12. Table 12 of GSTR 9C deals with the ITC. Yes, Suruchi, carry on. Table 12 in the ITC, as per the audited financial statements, do we show this 1,000 rupees or we don't show this 1,000 rupees?
Ideally, 99% of businesses are not showing this 1,000 rupees in their books of accounts, since they've not received the goods.
Because the goods have not been received.
Exactly.
So it's at 0.
Yes.
And in 6B, do we show this 1,000 rupees?
No, this is not for previous year, so no question.
Now, do we show it in 12C?
In my view, yes.
Yes. 1,000 rupees, Suruchi.
No, it is 2,000.
1,000. Done. We show 2,000 rupees here. And no,
this would be this plus this minus this. Sorry.
Yes. Right. So is there a difference in the table 12?
Yes, because 12E is a figure auto-populating from 7J, and my 7J is showing nil. Because in this particular case where we have just one invoice, no credit has been taken in 24-25, credit has been taken in 25-26. So after reversal, other reversals, this is coming as 0, 7J. So this would also be 0. Continue.
0 here. And therefore, is there an unreconciled ITC? The problem with the form 9C is that if there, yes, Mahavirji wants to know why this ITC is not shown in 8C, because sir, ये हमारे 2B में
आ चुका है
already और इसी को हम 6B में ऊपर दिखा दे रहे हैं. We are showing it in 2B and 6B. So 2B minus 6B, there is no difference left.
This is actually, now you have to consider GSTR 9 as a mathematical formula. 8A is showing all 24-25 dated invoices. 8B is showing what was actually availed in table 4 of form GSTR 3B. So in table 4 of 4A of form GSTR 3B, this 1,000 rupees has been claimed for those taxpayers who have complied with Circular 170. So in 4A5, this 1,000 rupees are being reflected, which is reversed in 4B2. This reversal of 4B2 is not getting captured in 6B. So this 6A to 6B, if you see, table 8 is considering 6B. It is not considering net of reversal 7H. It is only considering table 6B, which is summation of 4A5. So actually, you might have availed that credit in 25-26, but for all intents and purposes, availed here means what was reflected in 2B and claimed in 4A5, disclosed in 4A5. So availed for GSTR 9 is coming. The interpretation is coming is what was disclosed in 4A5. And this was disclosed in 4A5. This is already appearing in 8A. So if you show 1,000 further here, so it will show a net difference of 1,000, which again calls for notice that you've claimed excess credit. This 1,000 is already included here. This is invoice A. This is invoice A breakup. So there's no scope of showing invoice A again because it has already been shown. Now in the next financial year, we'll complete the circle if we also talk about GSTR 9 of 25-26, where we will be showing it in 6A1 and not in 6B. So when we have actually availed for 25-26, 8A will not show this invoice and the 6B will also not show this invoice. So the circle gets completed. This invoice, this particular invoice A is appearing only once in 24-25 and not in 25-25, which actually means that actual availment is not relevant here. When it got reflected in 2B and when it got reflected in 4A5 becomes more relevant than when you actually availed it.
So Suruchi, I'd like to take here one moment. Mahavirji, we have to understand one thing, that if you have strictly followed Circular 170 for the entire tenure of 24-25, then ideally your 8C should be only those invoices of 24-25 which are reported in 2B of 25-26. So
This
that
we
should
can
be
take
the
up
ideal
with an
scenario.
example actually. So
Yeah.
this got billed in March 25, 2B of April 25 and availed in April 25.
Right.
So now this is the scenario. So
Right.
this,
Suruchi, can you magnify it a bit?
ha sir.
Bas. Yeah.
So in the question, the scenario that sir is talking about, and when we discuss 8C, what figure is ideally appearing, what a figure will ideally appear in 8C is this, that there is an invoice A which is billed in March, but it is appearing in 2B in 25-26 and availed in 25-26. So is it appearing in 6A here? So again, we are going back to form GSTR 3B. Is it appearing in all other ITC of 24-25 when this invoice got reflected in 2B of 25-26? Please someone give an answer. Yes, no, it can be either of one.
No, it was not reflected in.
It will not, correct. So this invoice is not getting reflected in 24-25. It is not appearing in 4A of 24-25 of form GSTR 3B. So it is also not appearing in 6A of 24-25. It is not appearing in 6B of 24-25. So this particular invoice, 1000, so it will only appear in table 8A of 24. I'll just shorten it because otherwise the entire thing is not visible. So in this ITC as per GSTR 2B, which is a new creature now, is showing 1000, which is dated 24-25, filed in 25-26. So this is the correct formula of 8A now. So this is invoice of 24-25 filed in 25-26, which is appearing here. It is not appearing in table 6 above because it was not neither availed, not claimed, nothing done for 24-25 3B. So this is 0 here and it will appear, 1000 will appear here. So 8C will only have those invoices which are dated 24-25 but filed in 25-26 appearing in 2B of 25-26. And these invoices are very easy to identify. You can simply download 8A invoice-wise details. There in one of the columns, you will see GSTR 2B period, which is what we are doing in our office as well. We're just identifying the invoices which are for the period April 25 onwards. It would be April 25 to October 25 only. It cannot be any other month. You just select those, identify the invoices, either they are eligible or ineligible. If they're eligible, you show it here. If they're ineligible, you can simply show it under here. So there will be a difference here and you can show it here. Table 8F.
Yeah, and another scenario where Suruchi it can happen is when I'm not following Circular 170. And
Correct.
so I have actually 8A is coming as a complete picture. Whatever I've availed, that is coming in 6B, and the balance will come as a difference. You know, that can come that I'm going to, I'll just give you an example. Like if there is an invoice of 24-25 of date February, maybe that is appearing in my February 2B, but I've chosen not to follow Circular 170. So as Suruchi was sharing that it is not coming in my 4A5, it is not coming in my 4B2 of February 2025. So in that scenario also, in my 8A, that particular invoice of February 2025 will be reported. But since I have not availed the credit, it will not come in my 6A. Since it's not coming in my 6A, it is and also not coming in my not appearing in my 6B because I have not availed that credit in February 2025. Therefore, it will come in 8C in that particular scenario because to that extent, the ITC is availed by me in the next year. So that could be the other scenario when 8C would appear.
So in summary, what one can say is that it is also a mathematical formula. One has to actually see this in totality. One cannot only just focus on the invoice date or just on 3B or just on table 6. It has to be read simultaneously, all together combined. One also needs to see 3B, one needs to see 2B, one needs to see 8, one needs to see table 7, one needs to see table 6. And all of it combined can only give a complete picture where there should not be any difference ideally. However, difference is unavoidable is what we've already said. But if everything is properly complied with, then there should not be any difference.
But the problem of 9C remains,
Yes.
where any
Yes.
credit of the current year which is carried forward to the next year, in GSTR 9C, if it is shown in 12C, then a difference is reflected as unreconciled ITC in 12F.
This
Because of the
table
reason,
12 of GSTR 9C actually requires separate for 5 hours, not even 2 hours.
because of the
because-
reason that 12E should not be only 7J, it should also include table 13.
It should also include 6A1, because one very important point that we are missing here is that as per FAQ and the intent of Form GSTR 9 and the amendments that have been brought in, input tax credit of 23-24 claimed in 24-25 are altogether being removed when filling up the form. So the 7J, which gets populated to 9C, only has credit of 24-25.
Yes.
So here, when we talk about books, when we talk about previous credit, because GSTR 9C has not been amended, like they amended GSTR 9, there should have been appropriate amendments also in GSTR 9C, but they have not done that. So what has happened is that books, previous period credit, carried forward to credit, net credit will never be the same as 7J. Because 7J has only 24-25. This by default has 24-25 as previous period. It will also have 23-25, which is booked in 24-25.
So
But
Suruchi,
this has been removed.
Suruchi, could you just quickly, I think this is important as you have raised this issue of accounting of books. So could you, either Suruchi or Anshuma, whoever, could you quickly share as to like what would be the scenario in terms of booking of ITC, wherein it was an ITC of 23-24 or say 24-25. It was an ITC of 24-25. I reversed the ITC in my books also, and I reversed it in my 3B, and I reclaimed it in the next year. Okay.
Yeah.
So what would be the
Yeah.
scenario in that case? If you have to
Typically,
show?
right now we are dealing with the 9C of 24-25.
Yes.
So if we see the previous financial years, 23-24's credit, which is flowing in 24-25.
Yeah.
So in the first column in 12A, Suruchi, if you could type, the current year's credit, let's say, is 2,000 rupees, and we have an odd 300 rupees from the earlier year.
Okay.
So the 12A figure is ideally 2,300.
Right.
My books of accounts, Suruchi, 12A would be 2,300. 12A, we are going to 9C.
Nice. Yeah.
I am just filling up this.
So,
So you mentioned 2,300, 2,000 as books.
yes.
So
No, 2,300 is my books, but my 4A5 would be 2,000 only.
So 2,300 is the total credit taken in 24-25,
That's
out of which 300 is 23-24,
Correct.
2,000 is 24-25, jiska bifurcation we have given.
Yes.
Right.
And this reversal would be 0. I hope everyone is following because we are well versed with it, so we might be slightly faster. But
No, you can, I think, go once again. Yeah.
Yeah. So in GSTR 9, what is happening is that the table 6A contains the entire amount.
Just 1 second, I'll just write it here so that everyone can follow.
Yeah. Repeating again, that in table 6A, it is the total credit, which contains 300 related to the previous financial year and 2,000 related to the current financial year. So credit for 23-24, 150 rupees each, total 300 rupees. And for the current financial year, it is 2,000 rupees. My books of accounts has a total credit of 2,300 rupees. Okay, so 6A1, 6A shows 2,300 rupees. 6A1 shows 150 plus 150, 300 rupees.
Excuse me.
My table 6B shows 1,000 rupees. And this 1,000 rupees ultimately goes into my table 7J. 1,000 plus 1,000, 2,000 goes in 7J, which ultimately goes to my table 12D.
In this case, you can see that GSTR 9 is reconciling in all respects. There's no difference anywhere and everything is very immaculately done.
Absolutely. Now let's go to GSTR 9C. In 9C, my books of accounts show a credit of 2,300. So 12A is 2,300.
Okay.
All right. Now, the ITC booked in earlier financial years claimed in the current financial year is 300 rupees.
No, so books would be 2000. Either it is 2,300. So one scenario can be where the 23-24 invoice is booked in 24-25.
Yes.
In which case this would be 2,300. Or
Yes.
else can be 2,000 here where books and
So
books
I
should-
would like to keep my books at 2,300, please.
Okay.
Because the earlier financial years, acha, right, all right, let's keep the books at 2,000 and the 6B at 300.
Okay.
And my 7J flows in as 2,000 and therefore there is an unreconciled ITC of 300 rupees here.
In this case also you'll see a difference of 300, and in this case also you'll see a difference of 300. Because we have taken a stand at 6A1. Now here the alternate interpretation that Anshuma Di had plays a very big role. If we show that this 150, 300, if we do not show it here and somehow include it in 7J, then here it would show as 2,300 and there would not be any difference. So in case the alternative view that one can hold is that if eligibility to credit is arising in 24-25, even if the invoice date is 23-24, we can choose not to show it in 6A1 and maybe include it in 7J, then 9C would reconcile.
But in which case, if we show it in 6B, then our table 8 will not reconcile.
Then table 8 will show a difference. Exactly.
Yes.
So I
Then
think, Suruchi, I'll go to your view, which you intended, and which we have also represented to the government, that with the wonderful changes in GSTR 9, maybe a change in table 12
9C.
of 9C is also required.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
think taking that stand would be better.
So having had this discussion for the last 45 minutes, what we figure is that either there will be a difference in 12 of 9C, or there will be a difference in table 8 of 9, or there will be a difference in table 6 of 9, or
Yes.
you will be making some adjustment or the other in table 7 of GSTR 9.
Absolutely. That was the whole purpose of including 9C in our discussion, to show
Right.
that even if everything is hunky-dory here in GSTR 9, the 9C still does not match. And we have an unreconciled ITC in GSTR 9C, which we have to explain ultimately in the table 13.
And we have covered two scenarios. One scenario where 23-24 credit is coming as a difference, and another scenario where 24-25 credit is also coming as a difference when it's carried forward to the next financial year.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think we have covered, I think while discussing one scenario, we're getting into other scenarios also we are covering. So
Yeah.
we had perceived another scenario, which we have discussed while discussing 8C, which is there is a invoice of January 2025. It was appearing in my 2B of January 2025, but because of whatever reason, I did not accept and reverse it. Rather, I had taken it for the first time in May 2025. So friends, we are here discussing about a scenario where Circular 170 was not followed in spirit. So January 2025, the invoice is appearing in 2B. We have not availed the credit, not reversed in 4B2. For the first time, we are availing this credit in May 2025. Anshuma, I would go to you to quickly share with us the tables where the same would be reflected.
Very, very simple, Arupda. Again, our table 6A flows in from 4A5. So from 4A. So in 6A, the invoice is not reflecting at all.
Right.
The credit is not reflecting. So there is no question of reversal and reclaim here. We are simply carrying this credit forward. We go to table 8. In table 8A, this information is coming because it is in the 2B of the current financial year.
Right.
In table 8B, it is not coming because the 6B does not contain that amount. So we show this invoice in 8C where we are carrying forward this credit because we are going to be claiming it in the subsequent financial year. The same amount comes in table 13. So this is a typical case if we have forgotten to show this invoice in the 3B in 4A5.
Okay.
In which case, it becomes very simple actually. We
Yes.
just show that invoice in 8C and table 13 and we are done with it. Now if we
And
go
everything reconciles.
everything reconciles and now we go to table 12.
Right.
in table 12, in 12C, we show this amount. And there is a difference.
Right. That difference will be there because it is booked in my accounts.
Yes, yes, yes.
That will be there.
Yes, yes.
So, as friends, as we are sharing, the table 12 is one table where we find that there could be differences because commensurate changes have not been made in table 12 or 9C. Now, coming to the next case study, which is also shared by one of the participants also. So, same case study decided, which is it's a reversal. So, the issue is that it's a credit which was of 23-24. First thing is it's a credit of 23-24. It's appearing in my 24-25 2B. I avail the credit, but now because of rule 42-43, I have to make a reversal. For rule 42-43, I have made a reversal. So what would be the entries which I need to figure in?
It is very simple. We show it in our 6B.
Yes.
Because it is coming in the 4A5 of GSTR 3B, flowing in from my 2B. And it is a blocked credit for the reason of rule 42.
Yes.
For the reason of rule 42, that credit we have permanently reversed. We show it as per rule 42 in 7C and we are done with it.
No, I disagree.
No.
If we see
No.
examples,
Actually, I'll have to be like the anchor of the TV series, TV channels. Suruchi ji, 1 minute time dijiye. So,
yeah, sir.
Anshuma is actually given us with one perspective, which is being taken by some of the professionals, and which is certain to a certain extent that is believed to be correct because it hinges on the reflection in or reporting in table 2B. Now we'll go with the other view, which Suruchi will now present. Yeah.
No, I was actually first trying to understand what Anshuma is saying because this is a 23-24 invoice. So you are choosing not to show it in 6A1 because as soon as we show it in 6A1, there is no option to show it in rule 4. There's no option to show it in table 7 under rule 42.
I thought the invoice was dated 24-25.
No, it's
invoice is dated 23-24.
Okay, then the view will change. We do not show it in 6A1. For sure.
Yes.
We do not show it in 6A1.
Since we have availed and reversed it, you are saying that we should not show it in 6A1.
Yes.
For us now, it becomes important that we show the reversal in rule 42.
Yes.
Table 7.
But
this actually, we have to first see what is our intent in showing anything. If we want to show any reversal in table 7, then we have to exclude 6A1 because if we put anything in 6A1, we cannot show its reversal in table 7.
Absolutely. So 6A1 is out for the simple reason that we are not claiming this credit. Anything which we show in 6A1, the department assumes that you're claiming that credit.
This Dee has very passionately held on to her way of thinking. That
again, Suruchi, here one important thing is we have been told that table 7 should not have any reversal of earlier years. Right.
Arup, that is not possible. That has not been expressly stated in FAQ. What FAQ states is that 6B to H will have figures of 24-25.
Yes.
And table 7 will have reversal. So by implication, it is said that table 7 will not have reversals of 23-24. However, if I take an example of just one credit note of 23-24, we are venturing into a different scenario altogether. We're skipping this scenario. But just to show that table 7 we will have to show reversals of previous year as well. Yeah. If we have just one, we have supposing 1,000 rupees of credit of 24-25 and 500 rupees of one credit note of 23-24. Can I show negative value here? I have my doubts whether the form will accept that or not. If we show here negative value, then it will reflect 1,000 correctly. Otherwise, if I cannot show negative value, then I have to show 1,000 here.
Absolutely.
So then excess 1,000 is coming here. So I will have to add on to my reversals here where there's an option to add and have to write previous year reversals.
But there is a difference in your 6J here.
Yes.
There is a difference in 6J, which I can put here as, can I show 500 here?
No, that difference in 6J remains.
That difference in 6J remains. There's no other option.
There is no other option.
Yes.
I
So
agree with
actually, what I was trying to say is that there will be scenarios which I've had one practical scenario, but I'm not able to figure it out as in put it in figures right now. That I will have to show. There's no other option. I will have to show previous year reversal in table 7. So we will have to deviate from FAQ there, and FAQ does not expressly say that table 7 will only have 24-25. It comes as a matter of consequence because 6B2H is only having 24-25. And table 7 is arriving from 6B to H, so reversal is 24-25. But there might be scenarios where other reversals will also be reflected there. Now, it's a call that we have to take that if we've done any reversal for rule 42 of previous year in current financial year, do we want to show? Personally, I would always want to show. Because this is one area where officers are very particular, where they see that have we reversed. So for 17.5 for rule 42, they see GSTR 3B, 4B1, and they also see table 7 of GSTR 9. It becomes easier for us also to get them to show, as in we are able to show to them that we've already reversed.
We should add a table to 7H, very clearly mention that this is a reversal pertaining to the previous year.
Yes.
And we do not show it in our 6A1 for sure.
And we show it in 6H maybe as previous year. Why not? So in the case study that was given to us, this 1,000 rupees is pertaining to 23-24 actually. We are
Yes.
choosing not to show here since it is not claimed. So 23-24 but not claimed. This is 23-24 claimed that we are showing, and we will not show in 6B. So if we do not show in 6B, then there will be no difference in table 8. So we are covering that. And then, but we need to show 1,000 here, otherwise there will be a difference. So we show 1,000 in 6H. So in a lot of cases, what I am doing is I'm letting 6H come as a balancing figure. It is very beautiful because then I do not have to apply my mind, but that's wrong, honestly. One
Yes.
needs to have invoice-wise breakup of 6H as well. But we can see actually what all balancing figures are coming, what all amounts are getting incorporated here. That gives us a further idea of what we might be missing. So 6H might be taken as 1,000 here. So now we can show reversal as previous year here 1,000, and net 7J would exclude 23-24 invoices this way. And we'll be able to show reversal. So previous year reversal for rule 42, maybe we can write under rule 42.
And we don't show it in 6A1. That is the only thing.
Yes.
That Anshuma is very passionate about. She always says this, that we should not show. To a certain extent, I agree. But I do not know what stand the officers will be taking. But
again, will this not bring a difference in table 8?
No, this will not. It
Arup,
will only bring a difference if we are putting something in 6B.
We are not putting anything in 6B.
We are not putting anything in 6B, and we are not putting anything in 6A1 also.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
This is an alternate way of thinking.
So I think if
I
you
know-
can just sum up Suruchi once, I think, because we have discussed at length on this, for the benefit of the participants, we can just
This
quickly sum
scenario
up. Yeah.
or everything.
This scenario, this last
Okay.
scenario. Yeah.
I don't think it's possible to sum up everything,
No,
honestly.
this scenario.
So in the right now, the scenario that we were discussing was that there's a specific invoice of 23-24, which is getting reflected in 24-25 GSTR 3B. And for ease of reference, also getting reflected in GSTR 2B of 24-25. So since it is appearing in 3B of 24-25, it will appear in 6A. Now, this is an invoice which is pertaining to previous year, for which we have not availed credit. We have done permanent reversal in 4B1 of form GSTR 3B. So the net ITC available in respect of this specific invoice is 0. So when it appears in 6A as 1,000, the question arises, do we want to show it in 6A1? If we show it in 6A1, we will not be able to show reversal in table 7. So stand 1, option 1 can be to show it in 6A1 and not show reversal separately. Stand 2, opinion 2 can be not show it in 6A1, show it in 6H, and then show it as reversal in table 7, either in 7C or adding another remark column in 7H and mentioning specifically previous year reversal under rule 42 and show it as reversal. So there are 2-3 ways of going about it. So specific invoice, as much as however we are treating it, depending, we can show it in GSTR 9.
Great. Another query which is there, which is about what is the recent change in the import of goods, regarding import of goods.
import of goods, now they've just asked us. So generally what happens is that in 2B, there are n number of invoices coming. So practically, if we see that there's a procedure involved, when there's an import of goods, in our books of accounts, it comes pretty late. So for an import of good in March, it might so happen that it will get reflected in my books of accounts in April. So accounting practices followed by few clients are this, that they show it as goods in transit, or they do not show it at all and they show it in the next financial year. In which case it is appearing in GSTR 2B of 24-25, but credit has been claimed in 25-26. This so far was not getting reflected in GSTR 9, because in GSTR 9, we were only showing the credit that we are claiming. So out of 5 imports that I might have done in 24-25, I have claimed credit in 24-25 of 4 imports. So I used to show only 4. Now what they have done is they have inserted another row where they are asking me to also show that one specific import which I'm availing in the next financial year.
Right. So I'll just go behind the genesis of bringing this up. So what was happening previously before they introduced 8H1? So what was happening is whatever was the credit available because of import of goods, whatever I was availing, beyond that everything was considered to be lapsed. So now even for import of goods, I'm given an opportunity through 8H1, which says out of 8G, the import tax credit on import of goods which is availed in the next financial year shall be declared here. So just like we had 8C, now we have 8H1, which says out of this ITC available for import of goods, these are the quantum of ITC on import of goods that we have availed in the next year. So to that extent, maybe some of the notices will reduce.
So, I can just also add here that the FAQ further says that we are not only supposed to disclose this in 8H1, we are also supposed to disclose it in table 13, which we were earlier doing. So I, as a matter of practice, was doing. So this 13 comprised of few entries and not just 1 or 2 specific. So any import of good which is appearing in 2B of 24-25 but claimed in 25-26 is also required to be reported in 13. Any RCM tax paid in 24-25, credit claimed in 25-26 also is required to be reported in 13.
Right. So Anshuma, now I'll go to you. We have seen that famous movie RRR, right? So this year's 24-25, GSTR 9 is all about ARR, availed, reversed and reclaimed. So now can you quickly guide us as to what are the 2 scenarios, Rule 37, 37A, other than Rule 37, 37A for ARR, wherein we are maybe availing, reclaiming, and then reversing in the same year, reversing in the next year, or both the scenarios?
All right. So case 1, goods have been shown in 2B in April 24.
Do you want me to share?
Yeah, go ahead, share your screen. Goods shown in 2B in April 24. Goods received in May 24. In 4A5 of GSTR 3B, the credit is firstly claimed and then reversed in 4B2. In May 24, when we actually receive the goods, we reclaim the credit. So going back to the basics, 1,000 rupees claimed first in 4A5, reversed, reclaimed. So shown in table 6A, go to 6A1, 1,000 rupees being reflected, 6A2, 6A1 is 0, let's say. 6A2 shows 2,000 rupees as credit claimed. We go down to table 6H, wherein the 1,000 rupees has been reclaimed. We go down to table 7H, where this 1,000 rupees is reversed. If we go by chronological order, it is the 1,000 rupees in 6A2 which has been claimed, then reversed in 7H, and then reclaimed in 6H. Ultimately, the credit claimed has been 1,000 rupees. 1,000 plus 1,000, 2,000 minus this 1,000 in the reversal. Net credit claimed is ultimately 1,000 rupees, which will match with our GSTR 2B credit. Step 1. Step 2, another scenario where there is the credit which has been claimed, reversed, reclaimed in the subsequent year. Shown in March 25, claimed in 4A5 in March 25, reversed in March 25, reclaimed in April 25. Simple logic. We go up, show it in 6A2 or 6B. 6A2, the balance is there. In 6B, we show it as claimed. We reverse it in 7H. Go down, reverse it in 7H.
This is not coming twice now. This is coming once.
Yes, this is coming once because it had come only once there. So once shown in 6B, not showing in 6H because it has not been reclaimed in this year. And the reversal goes in 7H. The net credit claimed ultimately is 0, Suruchi. Net ITC becomes 0. We go to table 8. In table 8, this 1,000 rupees is showing. However, it has not been claimed in the current year. It will be claimed in the subsequent year. So therefore, in 6B, it is showing 1,000 and there is no difference in the table 8. This 1,000 rupees does not reflect in table 8C. It will be reflected in table 13. We go down to table 13 and in that we show this 1,000 rupees as the claim which is being carried forward for the current year to be claimed in the subsequent year. In the GSTR 9 of financial year 25-26, GSTR 9 of not the current financial year 25-26, this 1,000 rupees will come in the 6A1 of financial year 25-26. Another scenario, ITC claimed in financial year 23-24, reversed in 23-24, March 24. The ITC was claimed, the ITC was reversed. Now it is being reclaimed in the current financial year. We simply show it in 6A1. And that's it. It does not impact table 8. It does not impact table 13. It does not impact table 6B. Does not impact table 6H. Does not impact table 7H. Clear scenarios for all the three cases where invoices reversed in the current year, claimed, reversed, reclaimed in the current year, invoice of previous year, reclaimed this year, invoice of current year, reclaimed in the subsequent financial year.
Thank you, Anshuma. I think before we, take the final one or two queries, I think that are left out because we have discussed most of the scenarios that are there. One thing is that we would like to share also that why we are having the session today is because the due date for filing of 3B is on 20th of this month, right? So some of the action points that you still can take, which will have a bearing on your tax disputes at a later point of time, is there is a scenario where you have availed some credit, reverse the credit in 24-25, or maybe somewhere during the line in 25-26, and till date you have not reclaimed it. Okay, so you have not reclaimed it. So please do ponder upon them, do a reconciliation of all of them, that what is the reason that you had actually availed and gone for a temporary reversal, and till September 3B you could not reclaim it. So can you actually reclaim it within October 3B? If not, then what are the actions to be taken? That also has to be discussed. So I will first go to Suruchi on this. Suruchi, what are you doing on this? Like whatever ITC you have availed and then reversed temporarily, say during 24-25 or maybe till September 25, and you know now that you can't avail it. I mean, for whatever reason.
I don't know, honestly. There's no fixed formula that I've devised so far. Okay. So I do not know. It depends actually on case-to-case basis. I might let the previous year credit 23-24, I might let it as a difference in 6J. Yeah. Or show it in 6.
So we are talking about 3B.
Depending on the quantum.
We are talking about 3B now. 3B of October 2025 when we are filing.
Oh, if you're talking about GSTR 3B, then if you follow the instructions of the state tax officers in West Bengal, then we should do it 4B1 permanent reversal.
Yes.
So if we follow and they're after us, like anything. So recently
I would also like to take this side because one of the reasons
is getting revenues out of it.
No, beyond that, electronic credit reclaim statement, that also needs a matching.
Yes.
So I wanted to have a closure on the discussion before you close 99C. I wanted to have a discussion on that. So please remember that Arpita ma'am, yeah. Okay. Please do remember that in today's time, what is important is the tools available with the revenue department. So one important tool given to us and which is available with them is the electronic credit reversal and reclaim statement. So If there is a balance there relating to 24-25 early period, why is it lying? That could be a question. So at least the kind of advisory that we are issuing to our clients is, please do check, re-avail the reclaim the credit in the October 3B and go for a permanent reversal. Have a closure of it. Because ultimately, if it is not for Rule 37 or 37A, if it's for Rule 37, 37A, please bear in mind that they allow the re-availment of credit till eternity. So you don't have to worry. Sub 37 subclause 4 says that it will not be bounded by 16.4. So don't worry about Rule 37 or 37A temporary reversals. But other than that, if there is any temporary reversal which you had done, that I have not received the invoice, maybe I have received the service, I am not sure. The goods, I am not sure whether I have received it or not. It is received in that go down, this go down, I need to reconcile. And for last 6 months or 7 months, you could not reconcile. Maybe this is the time now, as per our advice that we are given, re-avail the credit in 4A5 and go for a permanent reversal, 4B1. So,
I think
Anshuma, yeah.
people have raised their hands.
Yeah, so now, yeah, so we'll quickly take the queries. Yeah, Sagar sir, your query on this?
मैम एक क्वेरी था,
हाँ, बोलिए ना, sir.
जो आरसीएम हम लोग रेंट पे पेमेंट कर रहे हैं, जो अक्टूबर 2024 से नया एप्लीकेबल हुआ है, जिसका ऑडिट हमने अगस्त सितंबर मंथ में किया है, आधे से ज्यादा क्लाइंट को पता ही नहीं था कि वो आरसीएम पे रेंट पे आरसीएम देना है करके। तो वो लाइबिलिटी हमने 31 मार्च में खड़ी कर दी कि भाई हमको आरसीएम पे करना और उसका आईटीसी क्लेम करना है। अब उसका 3B हमने फाइल किया सितंबर मंथ में। तो इसका जो हम टैक्सेबल वैल्यू डालेंगे और जो टैक्स डालेंगे उसको GSTR 9 में शो करना है कि नहीं करना है, और बॉक्स नंबर 4 में, और अगर बॉक्स नंबर 4 में डालना है तो उसकी लाइबिलिटी बॉक्स नंबर 9 में टैक्स पेबल वाले में डालनी है कि नहीं डालनी है। अगर वहां डालनी है तो डिफरेंस में फिगर छोड़ना है कि नहीं छोड़ना है, और अगर बॉक्स नंबर 9 ऑफ GSTR 9 में डालना है तो 9C में वो फिगर हम लोग ITC में डालना है कि नहीं डालना है। और उसको जो GSTR आरसीएम 18% वाला जो है, जो मैडम ने आपने बताया भी था कि रेट वाइज ठीक से क्लासिफाई करना, वहां पे उसको 24-25 के लिए डालना है कि नहीं डालना है, ये सब डाउट्स।
अगर जी इसमें ना देखिए मेरा जो ओपिनियन है,
हाँ जी, for the larger interest, can you quickly share the question in English, because we have a larger population who don't follow Hindi.
So what Sagar ji wants to know basically is that the RCM for 23-24 which we are discharging in our September GSTR 3B filed in financial year 24. September 24 3B, we have paid RCM in relation to 23-24, paid the RCM, taken the credit. Now we want to know how to disclose the same in an annual return for 23-24. In my humble opinion, again Sagar ji, there can be different ways of showing this, but the best way I find to explain, again it is to explain to the department ultimately that what we have done and to justify that we've paid this RCM. Do not show it in GSTR 9 for the current financial year at all. Show it in 9C. In that table 9 of 9C, please show that breakup. So show the 18% RCM of the rent. So let's say a rent of 1 lakh rupees you have paid from October 24 to March 25. Show the taxable value of 1 lakh rupees. Show 9,000 as CGST, SGST as the RCM which you have paid on it. What will happen is, in the table 9 of GSTR 9C, there will be a difference, because you have shown a liability which is higher than what you have actually paid through GSTR 9. That difference will be an unreconciled difference. You go to table 10 where you can give an explanation. There you write that this liability is arising due to the fact that the RCM for financial year 23-24 was paid by you in September 24 GSTR 3B. Mention that you've paid it in September 2024 GSTR 3B. You can attach the entire calculation as a separate attachment. And you have also availed of the credit in the September 24 GSTR 3B. That's the best way to disclose it, in my humble professional opinion. Of course, there may be opinions where you can show it in GSTR 9, but in overall picture, this is not related to 23-24 GSTR 9. In the 9C, do show the liability, let the difference come, explain that you've shown it in September. GSTR 9 filed for 25-26 will definitely show the output liability in table 4 in GSTR 9, and it will show the input tax credit in table 6 in GSTR 9 of 25-26. 24-25 का GSTR 9 में कुछ मत करिए, 9C में लाइबिलिटी खड़ा करिए, अपना जो ब्रेकअप दिखा रहे हैं वो प्रॉपर्ली दिखा दीजिए. Difference of opinion is welcome.
So no, I think
फाइनेंशियल जो हम लोग का ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स है उसमें एक्सपेंडिचर इट इज रिलेटेड टू फाइनेंशियल ईयर 24-25, द आरसीएम लायबिलिटी इज रिलेटेड टू 24-25.
हम लोग 9C में
आपने 9C में दिखा दिया ना ऑलरेडी. 9C में तो आप दिखा के बता ही दे रहे कि आपने पे किया है.
ओके मैम, एक डाउट और है. जैसे हमारा टर्नओवर है सपोज 1 करोड़ रुपीस का एज पर ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स, हमने जीएसटीआर 3B में टर्नओवर दिखाया 80 लाख रुपीस और 80 लाख पे हमने आउटवर्ड लायबिलिटी फाइल किया है. नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ सर्टेन डेबिट नोट्स, क्रेडिट नोट्स, हमारा टर्नओवर एज पर फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स 1 करोड़ रुपीस आया है. तो जब हम जीएसटी वर्किंग बनाएंगे हमारा ऑडिट के टाइम, तो देयर में भी पॉसिबिलिटी सीजीएसटी, एसजीएसटी पेमेंट निकले एंड आईजीएसटी एक्सेस पेड निकले. देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी. तो मैम ये वाली चीज को बॉक्स नंबर 4 में दिखाना चाहिए कि नहीं दिखाना चाहिए ऑफ जीएसटीआर 9?
दिखाना चाहिए,
तभी तो आप रिफंड क्लेम करेंगे. जो
दिखाइए. और आप ही के लिए हम लोगों ने जीएसटीआर 9 की टेबल 9 को अमेंड किया है. अभी अगर आप जीएसटीआर 9 की टेबल 9 देखेंगे, उसमें आपका पेबल कितना बन रहा है और आपने एक्चुअली कितना पे किया, उसका एक डिफरेंस का कॉलम है. उसमें निकल आएगा कि आपने आईजीएसटी ज्यादा पे किया है और सीजीएसटी एसजीएसटी शॉर्ट पेमेंट किया है. तो आपको सीजीएसटी एसजीएसटी पेमेंट करना है और आईजीएसटी का आप रिफंड ले सकते हो.
टर्नओवर को करेक्शन करने का और आरसीएम लायबिलिटी नहीं शो करने का, तो फिर दो पीस के बीच में डिफरेंस.
आरसीएम का क्या है, आरसीएम का क्या, एक टर्नओवर का क्या है. टर्नओवर क्योंकि आप उसमें यू हैव मेड द टर्नओवर ड्यूरिंग द फाइनेंशियल ईयर, इसलिए हम लोग बोल रहे हैं कि टर्नओवर को प्रॉपर्ली रिकंसाइल कीजिए. क्योंकि जैसे हम लोगों ने शुरू में भी बताया, आपके पास नोटिस आ रही है कि आपने 9 में ये टर्नओवर दिखाया बट आईटी रिटर्न में ये टर्नओवर दिखाया है, तो वहां पे अलग अलग हो रहा है. तो उसका हम लोग रिकंसाइल करके रख रहे हैं आईटीआर के साथ. अपना जीएसटीआर 9 का जो भी रिकंसिलिएशन वो करके रख रहे हैं.
अच्छा सर, हाँ बोलिए सर.
हाँ, और बट आरसीएम का द इशू विद आरसीएम इज दैट सिंस आपने 24-25 का जो भी लायबिलिटी है, यू हैव डिसबर्स्ड इट ओनली इन द ईयर 25-26 इन सितंबर 25. तो इसलिए हम लोग बोल रहे हैं कि आप इसको आगे जाके दिखाइए, और क्योंकि आपने क्रेडिट भी अगले साल लिया है.
This is a practical solution actually, so as to avoid notices. You can also show in GSTR 9, which is an alternative view and which is not wrong. There's no right or wrong here. But what will happen is that you'll get a notice. Then in order to justify to the officer, then there will be another exercise that needs to be done to justify to the officer that the liability shown has been paid in the next financial year. Which is why it's been
other option, Suruchi, is that what many taxpayers are doing. आप उस आरसीएम लायबिलिटी को आप 24-25 में दिखा दीजिए, 4G में दिखा के इसका जो क्रेडिट बनता है वो आप 13 में दिखाइए, दिखा के नेक्स्ट ईयर ले लीजिए इसका.
आप 4G में दिखाएंगे तो आपको 13 में दिखाना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि आपके 6 में तो रिफ्लेक्ट कर ही नहीं रहा है उसको, क्योंकि आपने अभी भी नहीं किया.
ये दोनों ऑप्शन है.
So there are two options.
मैम जैसे आपने बोला था कि बॉक्स नंबर 13 में जो हम लोग कैरी फॉरवर्ड कर रहे हैं, और अभी जो टेबल 6A आया है जिसमें ऑफ प्रीवियस फाइनेंशियल ईयर का हम लोग को क्लेम करना है, इज इट नेसेसरी कि जो 23-24 का हमने जीएसटीआर 9 भरा था उसमें जितना हमने कैरी फॉरवर्ड किया था, वेदर दैट फिगर शुड मैच इन द 6A ऑफ 24-25?
नो, इट्स अ ट्रांजिशन. ये जैसे हम लोगों ने ऑलरेडी डिस्कस किया है, ये ट्रांजिशन ईयर है 23-24 के लिए, इसलिए इट्स नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट दैट 13 ऑफ 23-24 विल मैच विद 6A1 ऑफ 24-25.
ओके,
आगे जाके देयर शुड बी अ काइंड ऑफ रिकंसिलिएशन उसका रहना चाहिए.
मैम सर जो 6H हमारा आ रहा है, सॉरी जो 6 जो हमारा बॉक्स नंबर 6 है, अगर उसमें इनपुट हमारा एक्सेस आता है इन बुक्स कंपेयर टू 3B वाला, तो अगर वहां पॉजिटिव फिगर आता है तो इज देयर एनी इशू?
पॉजिटिव मींस यू हैव टेकन मोर
इन बुक्स.
नहीं, मोर इन बुक्स आपने नहीं लिया तो आईटी से आपका लैप्स होगा. वो इस देखिए, इसमें जो है एक्चुअल जो रिफ्लेक्शन होगा वो टेबल 12 और 9C में होगा.
मैम 8 बॉक्स नंबर 8 में हमारा नेगेटिव आ जा रहा है उसके चलते, अगर हमारा बुक्स में ज्यादा आता है तो.
हाँ, वो तो आएगा, क्योंकि देखिए द फॉर्मूला इज लोअर ऑफ बुक्स और आईटीसी अवेलेबल व्हिचएवर इज लेस. तो आपने बुक से ज्यादा दे दी, मतलब नहीं, आपका सिनेरियो आ रहा है कि आपने बुक से ज्यादा ले लिया
है, 2B से ज्यादा क्रेडिट 3B में ले लिया.
हाँ, तभी आपका आ रहा है नेगेटिव.
तो 2B से ज्यादा क्रेडिट तो 3B में हो ही नहीं सकता है फॉर अ फॉलोअर ऑफ सर्कुलर 170. इसका मतलब आपने एक्सेस लिया ही है तो आपको रिवर्सल करना ही है फिर. मतलब it might so happen, like depends on situation to situation. It cannot be, no one can advise you basis the details that you have given.
फिर भी अपना detailed query please send it to online tax update to sir. We'll again go through it and respond it. No problem. In the meantime, we'll just quickly, sir, take 1 more minute. We'll go to Aravindan, sir. Aravindan, sir, you have raised your hand, sir.
Sir, I have one small question.
Yes, sir. Yes.
We have 2-3 banking clients who have never followed Circular 170 at all.
Yes, I know, sir. Because I'm also handling
Is there any particular care we have to take while filing 9 and 9C of 24-25? Is there anything we have to
for
do?
banking clients, I'll tell you something. The main advantage is that they follow this 17.4 red with rule 38, right?
Yes,
So for them, 50% of the eligible credit we are availing as ITC.
Okay.
So in that case, we have to just see, even if the 2B is not followed strictly, I think though that should have been followed, because that is what majority of the banks are following, but some of the banks are not following. So in that case, whatever is not appearing in my 2B and whatever I have availed, to that extent, I think we are suggesting to reverse while filing the annual return.
Okay, okay,
To the
sir.
extent of 50%, yes.
That's it.
That's what we are saying to our clients, banking clients. So with this, I think because Anshuma has an important social engagement, so we are holding her up. I'm
No,
sorry,
not.
but we are all waiting because we are really enjoying it. And I think 9-9C pe agar discussion 5 ghanta chalega, so we will be there. So that will go on. But over to you, sir, for the closing remarks, sir. And before that, before we go to you, sir, I'll take 1 minute from Suruchi and 1 minute from Anshuma ji to give the closing remarks. Yes.
Suruchi, go.
No, so this year 9-9C is presenting us new challenges, and what Anshuma Di said in the beginning, that it's become an art. So it's become more of a math formula, more of a lot of things actually. And personally, I've been facing this issue that I've not been able to streamline it or make a stable thing for my team to follow. So, but however, having said that, also, if we have invoice-wise details of everything, output is not presenting that much of a challenge because there aren't that many amendments and it's somewhat stable. But for input tax credit, if we have invoice-wise details, irrespective of whatever stand we take, and no stand is wrong per se, as long as we have a justifiable reason towards it, what I would say is that it is not as difficult as we make it out, because whatever complexities we are discussing right now is a accumulation of multiple clients. So one client will not have all the problems, will have 1 or 2 problems only. So it is possible to file GSTR 9. It might take some time extra, but after filing 1 or 2 GSTR 9, it might so happen that one will become comfortable and will be confident in filling in the figures. So it's not that difficult. However, it's interesting. So never a dull moment in GST, I guess.
So what, Anshuma, for your closing remarks?
I would reiterate what Arupda was saying. The next 5 days are crucial. Whatever changes we have to make for the previous financial year, this is the last chance. So the 3B, which we are going to file for October, will be important. Any reconciliations for the previous financial year, if not already done, should be done. The 2B, the last 2B is this October 2B, which will show whatever credit flows in for financial year 24-25. If there is no further credit flowing in, it is a good idea to put it in block credit now. Please, let's use the GSTR 9 as a tool also to segregate our outward supplies, our inward supplies, our block credits, our temporary reversals into the correct heads. Let's make sure that table 8C is correctly reported. Let's make sure that table 13 is correctly reported, because current year's table 13 will definitely be the 6A1 of the next year in most circumstances. 9C should be kept in mind while filling in the GSTR 9. There are certain figures which 9C imports directly from GSTR 9. It is important that we keep in mind that whatever figures we are taking from GSTR 9, whatever figures are being frozen there, are matching with our GSTR 9C, so that in 9C we don't find surprises there while reconciling the 9C. The 9C serves as a tool for all sorts of explanations. For all your clients or your companies which have turnover exceeding 5 crores, it is a great idea to disclose whatever you want to disclose in GSTR 9C, the differences, and put an explanation in GSTR 9C as and when required. Happy filing. I think the GST team is going to be working hardest for the next couple of months. Audit is done, and we are here. Please get back to online tax update with all your queries, etc. We should be able to take it up offline also. Over to Arupda. Thank you from my end. It was a very interesting session. Arupda, thank you for the opportunity. Suruchi, thank you for being a very energetic co-speaker.
Yes.
And of course, online tax update.
Yeah, I'm very thankful actually, Arup Dasgupta sir, for bringing in the best mind and uh, sharing the experiences or the solution rather, which we never find anywhere in the books or in any forum. Directly from you, hearing is really a blessing. That and also and he did advantage to all the participants because, as you said, only the 5 days are there. 20th is the freebie filing date for 24, 25. Any invoices left out for claiming credit or any reconciliation pending, that has to be done in 5 days, and close the November month, this October month return in 20th November, and then proceed for the 99C preparation. So this webinar, this in this format, is a very good. It is very good a platform where that all three of you have discussed internally and presented different views also. So that must have helped the participant very well, and I hope all participants have enjoyed because the number of participants is same as in 3 p.m. and now it is 5:30 p.m. Never it has happened this way in previous webinars where in more than 1 hour participants slowly gets reducing, but this webinar till 2.5 hours people are sticking. I am thankful that it has made the topic very interesting so that the participants are there. And thank you once again, Anshuma ji, Suruchi, and Arup Dasgupta for taking out time and addressing this topic very well, very interesting. Okay, thanks once again.
Thank you, sir.
And
And so
yeah,
I would request if it would be possible to share the video with all the participants so that
Sure,
whoever
sure.
missed maybe any portion they can, because that was our purpose for. That's why Anshuma and Suruchi, they decided that they'll go with the live instead of PPT, which is static thing. We'll go with the dynamic thing because they are dynamic minds on GST. So thank you very much and have a wonderful evening ahead.
Yeah, thank you all
Thank
participants.
you, Arupda, for a wonderful moderation.
Yes, thank you. Bye, bye, bye.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
One thing I want to share, like in 6B, so what ITC is required to put, like for financial year only 24-25 or 23-24 also?
No, as we have just discussed, for whatever credit is coming for 23-24, which is appeared in the earlier, I should say the 2B, or even in this year's 2B, if it is invoices dated to 23-24, then that will come in 6A1. So that will not be a part of 6B.
Yes. So मेरे में difference आएगा like 6G में अगर if I am not reported there.
नहीं, 6J में difference तो नहीं आना चाहिए. क्योंकि
Like
आपने
अगर मेरा 6A is the auto populated figure from GSTR 3B, right?
right.
So, right. Then 61A is the figure which is the previous year ITC claimed in financial year 24-25, ठीक है?
Right.
24-25. नेट आईटीसी मेरा बनता है इन 6A2 में, राइट? तो अब मैं वो जो नेट आईटीसी है सिर्फ मैं अगर 6B में वही रिपोर्ट कर रही हूँ तो मेरा डिफरेंस आ जाएगा 6J में, जो कि मेरी फाइनेंशियल ईयर 24-25 की है. लाइक मेरी 6A2 इज द नेट आईटीसी विच इज द आईटीसी ऑफ फॉर फाइनेंशियल ईयर 24-25.
अच्छा,
ठीक है. 24-25 की मेरी जो आईटीसी होगी, A2 की जो आईटीसी है वो मेरी 24-25 की है नेट आईटीसी. अगर मैं उसको भी बाइफरकेट करती हूँ 6B में तो मेरे डिफरेंस आ जाएगा 6G में. तो मेरे को कौन सी आईटीसी अप्रोप्रिएट रहेगी जो मेरे को रिपोर्ट करनी चाहिए 6B में?
हेलो सर, वो
Arpita ji, can you send this query to me so that we can reply to you one on one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
No,
because rest of the participants may be waiting, so I don't want to hold them.
Okay.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah,
Ma'am, send it to sir. We'll reply positively with the Excel also.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
And to all the participants, please don't worry that you will miss out on this query. Once we get the query from Arpita ma'am and we share the reply with sir, sir will share with all the participants the reply and the query. So now you will not miss anything on this.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. And we also
Thank you so much.
If there is any query related to 99C, kindly send it to online tax update. They will share it with us and we'll try to, on a best effort basis, I'll not say quickly, but on a best effort basis, we'll try to respond to all the queries, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.